Said this is about justice, this is about transparency, and yet I want to play something that you said earlier this week. Get your reaction on the other side.
I'm hopeful that we may get 40, 50 Republicans voting with the Democrats. The first time something like that has happened since Donald Trump walked down the escalator. Some people say this could be the first day of him being a lame duck, the day that bill passes.
If this is about justice, what does that have to do with making President Trump a lame duck president?
Well, it's because of what Trump has done. I mean, I wish that Donald Trump could prevent that.
Oh, no, they stopped Ro Khanna. They stopped Ro Khanna from talking. Look, yeah, Donald Trump had to do an about face yesterday because of the situation we're going to tell you about. But you're watching What Are the Odds with Barnes and Baris. Barnes will be here shortly. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them. And, of course, to follow. We're on X, Getter, everywhere, Rumble, everywhere. But the best place to follow me and Barnes both is on Locals. For me, it's peoplespundit.locals.com. peoplespundit.locals.com. All right, today is about the Senate. I obviously was trying to play that video for a reason. But honestly, it really all did start there, okay? And we can back up, and we're going to back up, and we're going to show you all of this. And the question that we started to ask ourselves is like, funny, how this works with Robert and I, just as, you know, I'm thinking about it. And of course, I don't know if you want to call it a polling group, whatever you want to call it, but some of the best pollsters in the country, we are in this group together. Of course, we talk a lot and exchange and see, exchange, findings, results, and, try to talk to each other about what it all means. And look, a year is a long time in politics, but in this environment today, it is important to be honest, and the truth of the matter is, Ro Khanna kind of saw, and not just Ro Khanna, his faction saw an opening here where there might have been a wedge to drive in MAGA between the OG and new MAGA wing, and then I want to say pretenders that came along later, and were not, because they weren't really MAGA. They didn't understand the coalition and why this was a threat to Donald Trump's coalition. As I said at the time, there's a reason why Charlie made me pull over on the side of the road and make me conduct an interview via telephone so Donald Trump could hear it and we could go over the poll results that we had conducted on the Epstein situation. And he knew it was a threat. Charlie did. He knew it was a threat because it was a proxy issue about accountability. And it came at a time when some people were having some questions about decisions that the administration was making. This was the right call for Ro Khanna and this wing of the Democratic Party to do. Their whole plan, and I'll just say this, is of course to resuscitate the populist left. He will not be the leader of it because they have somebody who's very talented, the right laughs at, and they're going to laugh themselves right into a defeat at this rate, the way that they did with Barack Obama. All right, so let me bring in Robert, because Robert, we've been talking, and in this environment, brother, a year is a long time, but in this environment, if the Senate elections were being held today, it's absolutely possible the Republicans could lose the majority. And we can go over the map and show how to do that. But I think this question of whether they're too overconfident in their majority has got to be discussed now. We're at the point now where you can't, this isn't NBC News. This isn't Quinnipiac. This isn't this, all these other garbage pollsters. If you rewind to 2018, so look at the map and the state of play, it's not them showing Donald Trump in the low 40s about to go into 40 territory. And maybe 38, 39 is his floor. I don't know where his floor is yet. We're going to find out. I mean, I think I know, but at this rate, you don't want to assume. You have to kind of let some of this stuff play out. But a president at that level, Robert, especially in the Midwest, where we have him in the Midwest, doesn't play well. You can't hold certain states with these levels of swings. You just can't. So first of all, welcome to the show. And I think we're going to be the first ones to even discuss this potential right now. But how you been, brother?
Yeah, so we'll lay out, I'll give my predictions as to where I think at the moment, assuming nothing dramatic changes between now and a year from now.
Yeah.
Where the House races, both with and without the Supreme Court overturning the Voting Rights Act. What does that look if they don't? What does that look if they do? Now, there's obviously a lot of things still in flux there, but just giving you the best projections as we can at this moment. And then the Senate as well, including looking at the Senate seats in Georgia, Michigan, New Hampshire, Maine, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, Alaska, Texas, South Carolina, and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so that we'll give you a sense of where that is. There's a lot of assumptions out there that are just faulty assumptions.
They're just wrong. They're really wrong, Robert. They remind me of Democrats in the era of Obama, when they thought that they had won such resounding victories and that those states were basically theirs forever. But Obama won Iowa by 12 points. Right. And Obama didn't deliver on his promises, which were populist promises, and they rejected him, and it led to the era of Donald Trump. And these were always Trumpian voters. I mean, Robert, I can't even believe some of the dumb shit that you'll see on social media, and then it makes its way onto the Sunday shows. Ro Khanna there, I was trying to play. Look, Dad, I'm on Meet the Press. Like, he was smart. He saw the opening. And I mean, people are out there like, saying all the dumbest stuff in the world. But the truth of the matter is, being a sycophant is not a good thing for a leader. It never has been. I mean, I issued a challenge last week to show me anywhere in the historical record where a transformational leader, a transitional leader, an emergent leader, an ascendant movement ever was served positively by sycophancy. And the fact of the matter is, it's not. It's like the death of leaders and their movements. So those of us who were trying to explain where the danger was, were really trying. I mean, the fact, I don't even want to say it anymore, because I mean, I'm not trying to help any movement or politician. I want voters to get out of the deal for once what they thought they were going to get out of the deal. That's my motivation. So when people are like, you turned on Trump, again, I'm not your boy, I'm a public opinion pollster. My job is to accurately convey public opinion, and I'm on the side of the American voter. Do I have my own views? Yeah, of course I do, but they can't get in the way of my work. Otherwise, I'm no better than the rest of them. And I think what we're finding out on the right now is that there really were no better. Many people were no better than those who lived in the bubble under Biden and under Obama. And, they're just in what they don't understand is a smaller bubble. It's thick as hell, but it is a smaller bubble. And if they don't pop it, well, honestly, you're a little bit more optimistic than me. I think whatever course corrections Trump makes right now, Robert, is not likely to trickle down to Republicans, or at least it will be very hard for them to take credit for it in a way where people will say, okay, you know what? I guess the Republican Party did really rebrand as America First. I don't see it. And because I don't, I mean, that puts these states in play. Let's go through real quick with them before we look at the odds on Kalshi real quick, Robert, because I don't think some people understand this. This is 270. Until our map is up, I got to show them 270. They show you the current forecast, consensus forecast, the current state of things, the consensus forecast, and then you can change around the interactive map. Here, this is the states that obviously people are paying attention to. Right off the bat, John Cornyn, right at the bottom here, Robert. Has it been so long that we forgot MAGA was needed to save Ted Cruz from a defeat against Beto O'Rourke in Texas, and that Ted Cruz now, avowing himself as Israel first, has like killed the image of the Republican Party in Texas. I mean, this is and then Ken Paxton is a flawed candidate. God love him, and I do personally like Ken, although he should have told me the truth when I asked him. Ken Paxton's a flawed candidate. Wesley Hunt is there's nothing great about him. And then you have the incumbent, Cornyn. At this rate, the best chance to keep the damn race is to keep it in Cornyn. The best chance to keep the seat is to keep it in Cornyn's hands. The primary voters aren't going to do that, Robert. It's either Hunt or Paxton. So that seat is not safe. To sit there and pretend like this is a likely seat is foolish. We're back to 18 again. It's like 10 years. Nobody's learned anything.
I think from the perspective of the Senate seats and then the House seats, as we go through them, will be the context in which we're looking at it. And so two major issues there. One is the new MAGA voter of 2024, which was heavily Hispanic, Black, Asian, millennial, Zoomer, young Gen Xer, that we've been tracking jumping off the Democratic train in 2022, 2023, especially accelerating through 2023 and into 2024.
Yep.
That, to give you an idea, this is what I went through and looked at a lot of crosstabs of a wide range of data, and you'll have some data coming up soon too. But here's the swing in these voter groups' approval on the economy specifically. Trump is now negative 20 with these voter groups. There's been a 20-point swing against him, and he's negative 20, depending on where you look at it, between negative 10 and negative 20 on the economy. But with Hispanics, it's been a 26-point negative shift. Black voters, a 27-point negative shift. Voters under 30, a 34-point negative shift. Voters under 50,000 household income, a 28-point negative shift. Independents, a 41-point negative.
41 points, Robert, in our poll last 41 points.
It's a complete collapse. Basically, new MAGA, young minority millennial Zoomers, driven heavily by economic issues and the disappointment in the Biden administration and their seismic shift to Trump, creating a possible realignment. They are all off the train at this point. Yeah. Whether you can get them back, we'll talk about that down the road. But right now, I'm assuming that they're going to stay off the train a year from now. That means some races that people are assuming are safe for a House and Senate plate, like in Texas, both the new House seats and the Senate seat, like in Florida. I think there's still a strong lean Republican in Florida.
Me too.
Yeah. But it is nowhere near as safe as everybody's assuming that seat is. It can be one of those surprise seats that we always see in these big swing elections where some seat that everybody thought couldn't be up. Well, Miami's about to elect a Democratic mayor. So for the first time,
Randy Fine ran 20 points behind Donald Trump in that district, Robert.
Exactly.
And people are acting like, but it's just a special election, Rich. Right. And consider this. Many first-time MAGA and OG MAGA, right, Trump voters never voted for Randy Fine. They're not on this train, and they've been watching what is a train wreck, in their opinion, for months. They're not going to come out like you think you're going to come, because you're a partisan. Like, partisans have a very difficult time understanding how the minds of other people work. They think, and it's both on the right and left, they think it mirrors their own. Well, what are you going to do? Just give it away to the Democrats? To them, you don't matter. You treated them with as much contempt as they got treated by any other politician or political group. So to them and to these people, it really was Trump or bust. And now, the way they've been feeling, you're no different than Democrats to them. They don't see a difference. And by the way, we are polling. I mean, I was saying, I may say this out loud, but I sent this to a bunch of North Carolina people and polling it. I mean, honestly, I'll be real. I was pissed off. I mean, for those who don't know, North Carolina is my state now. I've spent, decades in Florida, but we're up here now. And this didn't have to happen. Right now, Tom Tillis, you see it on your screen, guys. Tom Tillis is retiring. He's retiring because he couldn't survive a primary anymore because he went so anti-Trump. And look, Tom Tillis was just behaving like other Republicans are. He just never pretended to be an ally of the president or to be an ally of you if you're one of the president's voters. He just maintained who he was the entire time. And because he did, he was no longer able to survive a primary. So it's open now. The whole party got behind Michael Whatley. Donald Trump got behind Michael Whatley, who I'm sure is a very nice guy, but he's getting smoked. Roy Cooper is smoking him. It is currently 48-40. And it's been like that all 3 days. So I'm over there pissed off, Robert, over the weekend, shooting this poll to everyone and their mother. Like, look. And they're putting out BS because they're in fundraising mode. And we're doing focus groups in like 6 states at this point. Nothing is good. There's nothing good. Like, I wish I could give Republicans a bright spot, but they are. Michael Whatley is losing to Roy Cooper on all 3 of the top voting issues. All 3.
And to highlight.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, do I have to tell you what they are? Come on.
That's a 10-point swing in North Carolina, and we're seeing evidence of that across the board.
12 from Trump. Yeah.
There's 2 groups. So New MAGA off the train. OG, industrial Midwest, rural Midwest, anti-war Midwest is 1 step off the train. And we're seeing this in a range of data popping up in parts of Pennsylvania. We saw it in the elections a couple of weeks ago in Pennsylvania. We're seeing it pop up in the different parts of throughout the Midwest in Iowa and Michigan, Wisconsin. We're seeing other comparable trends as we saw in the elections in Georgia and the South.
Yep.
And so what does a 10-point nationwide swing mean? It means Florida is close. It means Texas is close. It means Iowa is close. It means Ohio is close at best.
Yeah. Actually, let's just go ahead and do it. Because I'm going to do this on the screen for people to show them how easy it is to take away the Republican majority. Mike Rogers is going to lose, so let's just stop playing. That's even likely at this point. It should be darker blue at this point. Mike Rogers is going to lose. Susan Collins, I have actually more faith in Susan Collins to survive than many, but she's still in deep trouble. She's in really deep trouble.
It's the end of the... My view on Maine is, even though Gerald Golden's not running in that seat, that creates an opportunity for Maine too. They're the kind of voters who are showing deep disappointment with Trump and the GOP at the moment. So that working class, industrial northern voters. So I think Maine is, if Trump could be in the mid 40s, if the economy was solid in 2026, I think Collins could hold on. I think Sununu could take New Hampshire. I think they might be able to pick up, keep North Carolina and pick up Georgia. But right now, that's not what's happening. So where I have the Senate seats,
Texas is it, Robert. If you look at that map, Texas is it. It's cooked at that point. That's all. I mean, like, this is what people don't understand, how easy this is. Texas is it.
I think Democrats at this point, and my assumption on the economy is that we're probably already in a recession. Let
me show this.
Yeah.
That's why I pulled that up.
At a minimum, we're heading there. And if the AI bubble busts, then it could be an ugly recession, because the only thing keeping it afloat is CapEx AI spending and the equity markets that are heavily driven by AI. And if AI and what's happening is those upper income people are taking their money and reinvesting it.
There it is.
I mean, yeah, right. Because right now we're already in a recession in many parts of the country. They're treading water. There's only a few parts that are growing, and a lot of the parts that are growing are dependent upon different aspects of the economy that are starting to shrink in construction, in real estate, and if the AI bubble just collapses, that will collapse upper income consumer spending. That will further collapse the economy. And that's why, already people under 50 think we're in a recession. Young people already think we're in a recession. Working class people already think we're in a recession. And regionally, there's many parts that are literally already in a recession. And if this I think it will get worse. And people forget, Trump never went negative for the most part on the economy in his first term.
That's right.
Now way underwater. Trump never faced a recession outside of COVID, which he was able to dodge the blame for. And because he got things going back, he was able to get close to rescuing the damage he did to himself during that period. If Trump's never experienced a recession. So he's already underwater without a recession formally and fully here. What happens when it is? What happens if the AI bubble busts? That's why I'm assuming you take the current dynamics of where people are policy-wise with where I see the economy going, and I see a 2006 level Democratic friendly environment
Yep.
as of now for
Yep.
2026.
Let's play devil's advocate too, because I have been talking to members of Congress, and this is what they'll tell you, including the speaker himself, that we are going to benefit from a lot of things that we did this year, next year. All right. They're giving me the Reagan argument. And here was my response to them. Number one, Reagan didn't save you in the midterms. The Reagan midterm,
1982 was very, very ugly. For those
you got hurt, and Reagan was saved by the economic U-turn, not you, right? So that's number one. So already it's a historical fallacy, right? A historical inaccuracy. Secondly, Ronald Reagan, for all his flaws, and because I hate it when the right uses Reagan as a, I don't know, some kind of standard bearer or like, a litmus test, Robert, because Reagan was definitely not perfect by any means. His administration was filled with neocons. He pushed gun control at one point. He signed a bill that allowed all of these, at the time, illegal residents, otherwise known as illegal aliens, to become citizens and have a pathway, and open the door to a lot of people based on the fact that he capitulated, and it gave others people hope that if you come here, the U.S. will do it again. But Reagan was smart when it came to being a consoler in chief, and he never forgot about the importance of optics. The White House has a major optic problem and a bubble problem right now where they don't understand, because they'll always throw back, and the Congress is doing it to me too. Oh, but inflation is cooled, and mortgage rates have gotten lower, and this and that and that. Okay. The big part of their problem started with them not understanding that the American public did not think that they were focusing on their concerns. Reagan never did that. Even when the economy was crappy, Reagan never tried to gaslight voters, Robert. Even when the economy then started to rebound, Reagan never gaslit voters. He always said, I feel you. I know you're hurting. And, we're going to do better. A rising tide will lift all boats. Like, he always gave people something to look forward to. He never said, shut the hell up and you don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to hear about affordability crisis. Could you imagine the Gipper going to the microphone and saying, quit bitching about affordability? I don't want to hear about it. Like, could you imagine this? Their plan is not a plan. Their plan is hope. Their plan is wishful thinking. It's not a real plan, Robert. It's just not.
I don't see that as likely to reverse. I think there's some definitely naivete in the White House about where things are economically. And we should note there's three economic concerns. I should say four driving economic concerns. There's two that are really tied up with number one. Number one, cost of living, and 3 and 4, housing and healthcare, particularly amongst that cost of living, as well as food and electricity.
Yes.
The second big one, and this is the one I don't see anybody, including the vice president, fully recognizing and appreciating: jobs. Jobs and unemployment look horrendous from the perspective of consumer sentiment as to where it's going.
Can we also show the graduate hiring?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. College kids can't get a job. We're at the for those who don't know,
you get through it. Yeah.
The University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey has the lowest expectations for employment in the history of the survey, worse than the global financial crisis. That's what ordinary working class people are saying. They're saying that they are desperately afraid. And people like Osmongold, big streamer.
Oops, my bad.
And here you have consumer sentiment. If you're not a boomer with a bunch of real estate, and you're not a boomer with a bunch of stock, you think the economy sucks.
Yeah.
So all of the donor class is very happy with where the economy is at. And this is why Trump's not hearing it. The people he goes golfing with, people he hangs out at Mar-a-Lago with, the Susie Wiles of the world, they all think the economy's great. This is why Trump is in a delusional state, because now the problem is, what happens if the equity markets collapse? What then?
Well, let me show young consumer sentiment before we get off the sentiment index. Because when people are like, oh, young people just get an effing job, why don't you just go walk your resume to the CEO of Oracle and see if that works like we did back in the day? Like, they're crazy. This is like living in another world. This is the consumer. When Robert said that historically this index is the lowest we've seen, even worse than the financial recession. Guys, Laura and I were like marveling at this chart, actually. Look at how it is for just young consumers. Look at where we are in the 18 to 34-year-old. And by the way, that's buying condition. The darker line is buying conditions for houses. But just look at the overall, which is the lighter yellow. She's like, what am I looking at? It's off the damn chart, like literally below the chart. Like it's like they're gonna have to start. I don't know. Changing their grid, you know, to like every 20 points or every 25 or, you know.
I mean, the reason why, and especially if you dig into
They're too big, brother.
You know, young, no, this is good. The young independent, like I was talking about the polling data earlier. Why is Trump so underwater, bleeding red with new MAGA? It's because they're saying the economy sucks really bad for housing, bad for healthcare, bad for cost of living, bad for jobs, bad for employment. They expected Trump to bring back pre-COVID economy. He didn't. And he's in delusion pretending he did. He shifted to Wall Street. He shifted to big asset holders. He shifted to people who own, to the boomers, to boomer condoners. For the last 5 months, his entire presidency has been to be subservient to boomer condoners. What happens when the economy doesn't show up? These voters are not only unhappy because of the real state of the economy, they don't think Trump has a clue about them anymore. They think he's showing off gold in the White House, ballrooms for the new West Wing for his donor class pals, going golfing with Lindsey Graham, hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, telling everybody the economy's great, attacking his own base, libertarians on one day, MAGA and Marjorie Taylor Greene on the other. It shows a complete out of touch. He's becoming the caricature of him. They saw him as the underdog who was being persecuted and prosecuted and tried to be bankrupted and who always advocated for him and had no new wars and a good economy. And now they see him as the boomer con donor boy, billionaire, hanging out with his billionaire buddies, the covering for his billionaire buddies. You don't want a headline like Guardian of Pedophiles is what GOP stands for. This was just a cell phone disaster for 5 months. But you aggregate it, ordinary people are screaming economically, and what they're hearing from the White House is, you're wrong, the economy's great, we're in a golden era. So there's a messaging mismatch on top of bad fundamentals that are just about to get worse. And when they're just about to get worse, that's when you're looking at 2006 type reoccurrence.
Well, let's look at the bubble. Well, wait, though, because you did bring up the job market. It's because before we get into what they default to, which is arguing about how great the market is, which will show you guys that there are huge red flags in the market right now. But layoffs, Robert, you brought up the jobs market. Okay. Look at U.S. layoffs. Look at where we're at. For people who don't know what they're looking at, U.S. layoff announcements year to date from 2008 to 2025. You may notice too that, and I remember this during the Trump era, the first time from 2017 to the least the distortion with COVID happened. The layoffs, when you were talking about the Challenger report, and Gray and Christmas is what this is from Challenger, Gray and Christmas. It's a Challenger jobs report, they'll call it, like for short. That was yet another indicator where we were talking about under Donald Trump, historic low job layoffs. And why? Because he was hitting these good producing sectors that were the source of a lot of our layoffs over the last, 10, 20 years. And he was revamping these industries. So he was basically, he turned off the spigot for job losses. And actually started to reverse it, which was remarkable. Meanwhile, here, because of what he has focused on, I know Bannon, he's like, going to war with the tech oligarchy and stuff like that. Trump has decided to try to go that route, a different route here. And by the way, Vance obviously is going to go that route too. You can see who's getting ready, or at least vocally getting ready to line up behind him. They're trying to go a different way, whereas Trump 1.0 was about mining, production, manufacturing, construction, and that has and there was a huge focus on it. So when I have people ask me, call me up and say, Rich, well, I don't know what the hell you want us to do. Tell me, look back in the first year of the Trump administration in November of 2017. What were you doing? And they just go look it up. What were you doing? They were on manufacturing tours. He was getting ready to spend Christmas or that week doing rallies in the Midwest to celebrate return to manufacturing. Giant, big, beautiful Christmas trees, one on each side of the stage in Wisconsin with his beautiful wife there, celebrating, the lights beaming, workers, UAW in Michigan. I mean, this is different. And yes, he's had the UAW at the White House. They did good. They showed up and they said, open this government, but that's not been the focus here. I don't know what else. Like if you can't look back and see how that Trump prioritized, especially during his first year, prioritized the American worker versus what you're seeing now. If you can't see that, I don't know how to help you. I really don't. And because of the Mueller crap, which all of these people cheered to, these clapping seals, they all said it was just like 40 chess. Don't worry about it, right? They had a good economy to help them through that midterm, even though the Mueller hoax was going on and in full swing, right? They still had really positive stuff. Small business optimism, record high. Manufacturing indexes, those regional indexes from whether it's the New York Fed, the Philadelphia Fed, right? Because New York's the Empire State Manufacturing Index, and you have the Philadelphia Fed, which is Mid-Atlantic, and then, so on and so forth. They were all booming. You had things you could tout. They don't understand. So when we're trying to when we're trying to tell you, you think you're going into this next year, and you got money to waste on attacking your own, Robert, man, it's going to be 2020 with all of this going on. Instead of talking about this, and some of it is just letting the American voter know that you're thinking about them, that you care about them. That's really, it really is that simple. Barack Obama had horrible economic policy, but do you know what he did have? Majority of American voters who say they cared, he cared about their economic suffering. And that was his number one concern, even though it wasn't. He knew optics. He knew it. He made it work. And this is, I don't know what else to do to try to get people to pull their heads out of their ass, because there's nothing else more I can do at this point, Robert.
Well, the other thing is, and maybe
I'm out of ideas, brother.
I think I just emailed you a bit ago that the house map, the way I'm advising is we're in a fundamentals environment that's very negative for the incumbent party due to the policy decisions of the Trump administration, messaging decisions of the Trump administration, compounded by fundamental weakness in the economy, still fundamental. Someone was asking how could there be an AI bubble when AI hasn't started, building out yet? I'm talking about the AI stock market bubble.
Yeah, good question.
That's where most of the bubble is coming on the AI side, is from the stock market. That if it collapses, you have people like Michael Burry of Big Short fame shorting a lot of these AI-related stocks. Peter Thiel. That's
the wrong one. Sorry.
That's the problem. Peter Thiel. This is just showing that the bubble we're currently on looks almost identical to 1929.
It does.
So, yeah, that's not, imagine it. Yeah, quite literally, we could enter 1930 kind of economic territory. That's what I mean by the economy could go really bad. I think it's going to go bad. The question is, could it go really bad? And instead, they're out telling everybody it's about to go gangbusters. So that's the other reason why I think fundamentally both the messaging mismatch and where the economy likely is going to go as young people interpret it and working class people interpret it, that combine new MAG and old MAG. If you want to look at a map, look back to the Obama era fundamentals. Don't look to Trump era fundamentals. Look to Obama era fundamentals. And all of a sudden, Iowa doesn't look like lean Republican anymore. Ohio, definitely with Sheldon Brown running, doesn't look like Republican leaning anymore. Texas is up for grabs. Florida could be up for grabs. If Lindsey Graham is nominated in South Carolina, a significant third-party candidate will run. South Carolina could be up for grabs.
Yeah, if you lose chunk of the vote down there, all the black belt southern states are within a decade of being in real trouble. So we tried to highlight this, if you remember, when Todd ran again in Mississippi, and that was actually a very close gubernatorial election, and we highlighted all those counties on the western border of Mississippi. Those are textbook, what's his name? Kevin Phillips, textbook black belt counties guys. And the problem is in Mississippi, Republicans were able to keep it a red state because they were still winning the white vote 70-30, like winning the white vote as much as Democrats were winning the black vote. So it was working out, but it can't. That math doesn't work anymore when you consider that the state-to-state migration, the education of white voters, the trending Democrat of boomers and above, it doesn't work out anymore. You can't get to those white margins even in the South. South Carolina is not the state it was even 10 years ago, let alone the state now. And Trump kept it really red because areas like Horry County and Myrtle Beach, these destination spots, specifically Myrtle Beach, where people are moving from working class environments in New Jersey and New York and all these other blue states where they were fleeing from, they're going to those areas. Those aren't Republicans in the sense that you guys think they're Republicans. They're not. They were Trumplicans. Like Lindsey Graham was in deep shit in 2020, guys. He was in deep shit. If Donald Trump didn't come out and, well, first of all, he gave him support, but he also just being on the ballot saved him by bringing out a voter that Lindsey Graham cannot bring out on his own. And everyone just thinks, oh, it's South Carolina, Robert. It's a southern state. Oh, it's Mississippi. It's a southern state. Well, hello, Georgia was a southern state too. Mitt Romney won Georgia handily. And within 4 years, that state was 3 points. So this is the way economics is politics. And you're not looking at the underlying economic, trends and development of these states, which draws in these blue state voters. That's how Republicans lost Virginia, Robert. It wasn't like Trump chased away white women, educated white women, and Nova. It was a result of government policy by Republicans, by the way, a gross expansioning of the you want to call it the deep state, but the federal government after the 9/11 era. George Bush turned Virginia blue. All right. I mean, give me that. Literally, you could blame it all on George Bush. Everyone blames the immigrants, but the truth is that only gets you a little bit there. That's a marginal difference between, the voting behavior before 2008 and after 2008. That is because of George Bush. He imported Democrats into Northern Virginia, and this is the biggest area of government workers in the country, Robert. So, the people aren't looking at it like this. You have the research triangle in North Carolina. You can't afford until the realignment was completed, which we talked so much about on Monday. You could not afford a regression that we're seeing now. Republicans could. They simply could not afford that. And they think that because these states have been voting so solidly their way in the Trump era, that they'll remain that way. I laughed at the 3rd congressional district poll in Iowa, which was basically a tied race. I laughed at it, not because I'm like rooting for Republicans to lose, like some loser said on X, like a bunch of, losers said on X. I'm laughing because it was predictable. And you didn't listen. I mean, I guess, are you babies to the game of politics? In 2018, the entire state rejected the Republican Party. And now they lost almost every gain that they made in the Trump era. And they got lucky in 2020. It did swing back to Donald Trump. And in 22, it was a little bit easier. But why? Because they knew Trump was coming back by then. It was already a MAGA versus establishment dynamic going on in 22. But Iowa will reject you if you are not in the populist mold that you ran as. They did it to Obama. They will do it to the right as well, especially since so much of Trump's coalition in Iowa is based on that young vote signal. I mean, that state, he won every single age group in. Guys, every single age group. They didn't stick with Republicans like that in 18. They will not do it again. I'm telling you. And it's just this false sense of security that people have. When we went through that map before, all you have to do is tick off Texas, and suddenly you have a 50-50 Senate, basically. So unless, again, Collins could hold on in Maine or something. I mean, at this point, you would need a lot of the chips to fall where they may. So this is a very favorable map to Republicans, no doubt. But some of these states, things can go awry. I think I would tell the right this, Robert, the way I told the left. Some of these states, you're not going to win one and not the other. It's like Democrats who think they were somehow going to pick off Michigan but lose Pennsylvania. Like, that's not how this goes. And in a wave, you will lose it all. And that's it. I mean, that's the nature of our politics now, bro.
Yeah, before we go to the Senate seats, and we'll go through them, but the Cauchy markets by the ones that have some active markets one by one.
Yeah,
But
there's a
here's what
bunch
I
of them
have
already.
on the House without factoring in redistricting, which I'll get to. I have these seats flipping to the Democrats: New Jersey 2, New Jersey 7, I think even Fitzpatrick's going to go down. Pennsylvania
So
1.
does he, by the way. Let me just stop you. Can I stop you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So after having Paul Caldarello on to discuss how he got swept out after 2 decades of surviving, more than 2 decades of surviving blue and red waves alike. Well, yeah, we got calls from people, first of all, thanking us for having him on to talk about how bad this was because people were downplaying it and their lives were destroyed because so many of those people were like local servants. They don't even have health insurance, Robert, now because they were swept out of office. So they're in the demographics we're showing in these charts concerned about healthcare costs now. That's it. They went from being elected Republicans to that. Fitzpatrick has been someone they could count on to survive. They don't think he's surviving. They think he's cooked.
Agreed. So New Jersey 2, New Jersey 7, Pennsylvania 1, Pennsylvania 7, Pennsylvania 8, Pennsylvania 10, Michigan 7, Wisconsin 3, Iowa 1, Iowa 3, Nebraska 2, Colorado 8, Arizona 1, Arizona 6. I see all flipping to the Democratic side. I think when the redistricting shakes out because of where these districts are, Democrats are going to get the edge in it. The California, Texas, and Virginia have a net 4 seats shifting to the Democratic side. What does that mean? That leaves, this is without the Voting Rights Act being struck down by the Supreme Court. I have a Democratic margin as of now with a 233 to 202 edge in the House come the midterms. Now, with the Voting Rights Act, I could see the Democrats losing at least 10 seats, 2 in Louisiana, 1 in Mississippi, 2 in Alabama, 2 in Georgia, 1 in Florida, 1 in South Carolina. I do think the Supreme Court will strike that down. So that gives it back into the close race if they make some adjustments that are meaningful and impactful to voters between now and Election Day. But even then, I have Democrats holding the House at 220, the same the Republican edge is now, 220, 215.
Yeah, I'm over here. I'm trying to look for. I thought that.
I mean, these odds right now are assuming the VRA does not get struck down. So there's a way to wager both sides of this line, as I've given out on Sports Picks.
Yeah.
But right now, that if the VRA was not to get struck down, this should be 90%, not 70% for Democrats.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So, what do you? I mean, look, I assume you agree. I mean, if that section of the VRA does not get struck down, they have almost. I mean, you never say no chance, but
Yeah,
they have
10%
like
or less,
no
10%
chance,
or
10% or less. They're cooked. Yeah, and I mean, it's only a matter of majority this time. You know what the size of the majority is. I even think, which I can't believe I'm saying this, considering for years. Contrary to all these idiots talking out of their assholes. It was like me and that's it, fighting against the election mafia. And Cook Politico Report was a huge part of that. I actually think that Cook is grossly overstating Republican strength in their projections right now. And it's just because they're not polling like I'm polling. They're not all over the place like I'm all over the place. I will show this real quick.
And they're assuming a 2024 baseline.
That's
And
right.
it's quite
That's
clear
right.
that that's not what we have anymore.
The
So,
poll that came out in Michigan before, Robert, which actually shows a relatively close race, that's Trump level turnout. Like the demographic shares in Michigan are mirroring the 2024 exit polls. That's crazy, ladies and gentlemen. That's not going to happen. You're going to see something more like along the lines of Tudor Dixon, an environment like that. Tudor got crushed. Now, that's a gubernatorial election. It can be obviously a little less partisan in nature, but I don't know. What we saw last 2 weeks ago was very partisan. It was amazing how they were able to nationalize races that are almost never nationalized. But look at the congressional vote, because I mean, I'm telling you, ours right now, which I gave Paul Bedard in Washington Examiner anyway. I just, I did. I just showed it to him. I was like, it's not out yet, but just take it, and it's Democrat +8. When was the last time you remember me having a generic ballot that was Democrat +8?
And to be honest with that, that's where I have it projected right now, even before you had that result.
That's
So
disgusting.
A lot of because all he did is it went through, looked at the demographics, and here's the other problem:
47-39, guys.
their keys, the voters that they're losing in mass are disproportionately in these swing districts and
Yeah.
Senate seats. That's the other problem. It's that the problem is being amplified. Like
Yeah.
if the map was just made up of Arkansas and Oklahomas, we have a different dynamic. The problem is where they're suffering the most is industrial Midwestern voters, rural Midwestern voters, Hispanic voters, Black voters, and young voters, disproportionately key in places like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, the places
Nevada, Arizona. Yeah.
I mean, Nevada could be a competitive House races. They're not going to be.
No, their Republicans are going to be cooked in those.
Yeah, it's really, as of right now, unless there is a radical reversal from the White House and a radical reversal from the Republicans in Congress, Republicans are just cooked and cooked badly, and they don't even understand that this is coming. So, because I mean, I'm looking at and people think 2018 was Democrat +7. If you looked underneath the hood, that was inflated by a lot of seats that were uncompetitive. That it was really Democrats by 5. If you looked at the median House race, the 2022 is Republicans by 3. You're looking at again something that looks like 06, Democrats by 8,
and again
that sweeps everything, and all of a sudden it's literally a 10-point swing. The same thing you're picking up in North Carolina, the same thing these people are picking up in Iowa, the same thing we just saw. We saw reversals of Hispanic voters back to pre-2016 numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what young voters back to pre-2016 numbers. This is starting, and the thing that could amplify this on the Democratic side is if they actually listen to Ro Khanna and run on a left populist platform, like a Newt Gingrich contract with America, the sweep could be bigger and wider and deeper. Now, I don't think the institutional party has the brains to follow Ro Khanna's lead.
Either.
Yeah,
but
if they do, oh man, is it going to get ugly? And then it gets so ugly that Vance has to, is in the maybe I want to go on a 4-year vacation before running again.
That's what I was saying in that tweet, which all these morons jumped on. They're so stupid they didn't even know. And it's funny because I'm literally talking to the guy as I post the damn tweet, and they're all like, he's DeSantis or Cruz or whatever. It's so hilarious. I'm literally telling the guy to his face, you need to take a 4-year vacation. If this continues, the environment, because for those of you who don't know, he said he would wait until after the midterms in order to make his decision. And my entire point was, you don't worry, bruh. They're going to make it the decision for you, and explain it to him. Very simple, like this. The Republican establishment would love nothing more than to sabotage all of this, let JD become the nominee, get crushed because they put him in such a bad electoral environment so that they can then blame MAGA, blame America first, go back to being rhinos, go back to being neocons, and they can and then they can run the kingdom of losers again. This is what they want. And if not, and it is a decent environment, well, then they're hoping they can sneak Ted Cruz in there and DeSantis in there because, again, guys, you just found out about this shit today because it's in the headlines. People who do this for a living know they've been doing this for weeks and weeks and weeks. There have been Republicans who saw his mishandling of Epstein salivating since May. Are you kidding me? Waiting for him to slip up, waiting for a fracture, waiting for a mistake. And let me just bring this up real quick, okay? I'm sorry. I don't mean to because I know we should take the time, obviously, to go through each district, and we will. And I'll bring Cook up in a second because I brought up the comment I was talking about with the House. But let's just dispense with this idea right now that Donald Trump wasn't reacting to public pressure or it was all some cat shit or cat turd, whatever his name is, and the rest of these clowns. It was all some 4D chess thing, Robert, that he had planned, and now the Democrats are quaking in their boots. It must be nice to know nothing about politics, know nobody in politics, speak to nobody, and just come up with these crazy ideas that people actually believe because it makes them feel better for not being intellectually honest, like Viva said. You guys, I took all your, Viva said it before, I retweeted it. He said, I got all your names. I remember all of you who were not intellectually honest. And if you look at some of the replies, they're deluding themselves into thinking that no, Viva wasn't right. Trump was really setting this up the whole time. Okay. This is not true. All right. There was an entire revolt in the House against him on Epstein on his own side. And when he couldn't convince Lauren Boebert, who he drugged into the Situation Room, when he couldn't convince Lauren Boebert to change her vote on the petition, he did this because he had no choice. He just decided to say, you know what? I'm encouraging all Republicans to vote. He had no choice. He was outmaneuvered by Tom Massey, which I know, Robert, you like him. I think Massey's a grandstander, bro, on most of this shit. I really do. But he played his hand and he played it well. So let me just show people who don't understand politics. You can circumvent leadership by having something brought to the floor of the House for a vote if you use a petition. And this is what Massey and Ro Khanna did. And they got the problem for Trump and the White House was that Nancy Mace is a victim of sexual assault. All right. Boebert and MTG, which, by the way he treated MTG turned a lot of, I'm talking about elected Republicans. He lost a lot of whether they're going to publicly say it or not. I got the receipts, bro. Okay. People are like, oh, so that's what 10 years of loyalty gets you, or 8 years of whatever. It's like, ooh, so this is what happens when you end up on one wrong side, like they did not like this. And they tried to convince Boebert, but when you become close with these people, Boebert wasn't like not listening to the president and taking MTG's side. She was actually kind of taking the victim's side in this. So anyway, you couldn't have too many Republican defections. There were way too many Republican defections. He could not stop the vote. That is what happened here. This idea that like, whoa, Trump played this all perfect, Robert. I can't suffer this level of delusion anymore. This is not a game of 4D chess. This is a game, and he lost it. He lost it. And honestly, the people who clapped the whole time, man, and didn't like, this was a very, very avoidable and easy issue to deal with. We literally talked about this. I privately and publicly gave the way out of this from the very beginning. They didn't take it. They went down this route. I don't know what the president's, I've heard 80 different stories. I'm not going to believe any of them. All I can tell you is, folks, that the truth is, of course, he did not want this released. He wanted to deal with this way. Tell people, if you don't shut up about it, I don't want your support anymore. That's the route he chose to go. It was not the correct course. Massey outmaneuvered him here. And this is now a stunning, humiliating defeat. It has weakened the president. So if you are a supporter of the president and you clapped like a seal or claim this was a game of 4D chess, look, you're not much in the whole grand scheme of things, but you certainly contributed to hurting him. You've weakened him. You've damaged him. Instead of really just, I don't know, Robert, shutting up and letting the big boys talk. Like, I don't know. Like this was this was a complete unforced error. And no matter what, it doesn't matter at the final hour. He tweets out support to release it. It doesn't matter. The voters now, especially those younger voters who cared about this stuff, the ones Charlie made me pull the freaking car over to talk to in that interview, they, in their minds, this is done.
Two things. Like on Massey, the reason why I've long been a supporter of Massey is on food freedom and farmer issues. He's been the most best advocate in the House. But down deep, Massey's a libertarian who's just running within the Republican Party primary process. And it was one of my disagreements with Vance was he was like, oh, we need more loyalty. But this guy's a libertarian that's just formed part of your coalition. If we had a more European style system, he'd be part of the Libertarian Party that occasionally votes with the Republican Party. In my view, is going after Massey, aside from being a waste of resources and antagonizing the Libertarian part of the coalition, is like some people are thinking of it on a House vote basis. They're like, well, if replace Massey with a different Republican, it'll be fine. It's like, what you don't understand is you're antagonizing an entire part of the base. Massey has millions. Massey will be one or two in the number of individual small donors across the nation of any member running for Congress.
He's raised $2 million since Chris came after him. He's got the
Right.
biggest war chest he's ever had right now. And by the way, they tried this already, Robert, and he friggin' smoked them.
They all forget. They forget Trump worked with Liz Cheney to try to take Massey out in 2020. Back to a lawyer that I had personal disagreements with that was connected to Lynn Wood. And people forget it was because Massey said COVID was a problem, that we shouldn't be doing lockdowns, that the House should be voting, that we shouldn't be doing mass stimmy checks. It would lead to all kinds of problems in the economy, that it would lead to mass mail-in voting issues, and that would create a bunch of fraud.
What was Will Chamberlain saying about that? Hold on one second. What was the simp Will Chamberlain saying about that at the time, Robert? Because I remember the Associated Press calling me and you for an interview about this very thing, about how you and I were going against all these MAGA personalities and that they didn't understand why we were telling Trump this was a bad idea because his approval rating was record high, blah, 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 blah. And then this is what the Will Chamberlain simps did. They cheerleaded for him to close the damn economy down to being too stupid to realize the economy was Trump's Achilles heel. Then when it did happen, when everything we said would happen, they jumped off the Trump chain, jumped on the DeSantis train, and attacked Trump for supporting COVID lockdowns. I mean, folks, you can't at all make this shit up. And now they're over here doing the same thing, cheerleading the guy into a buzzsaw. And then when he runs into that buzzsaw, they're going to jump on the DeSantis train. Or they're going to jump on the Cruz train. You watch. It's so predictable. Who the hell do these people think they are lecturing anybody else? Where the hell were they, Robert? Has Will Chamberlain spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of his own money just to make sure the American people have fair polling in the public square? Who the hell is this guy? And the rest of them like him. You got to be kidding me.
Correct. It's people that have been wrong on pretty much every major political.
Small-minded, narrow-viewed losers. They see tunnel vision, and that's it. They're not talented. They have no at all concept of what makes the American people tick, what makes them drive, what their hopes are, what their fears are, why they turn on a dime on you when you're not a partisan. These people have been like one of the biggest problems. Mark said earlier today, he said, money ruined politics, like K Street and donors, it ruined politics. Now it's ruining social media. So, it's absolutely true. These people are, Trump he should just get back on X. Don't post, just look. I understand truth is your thing and you want to, it's your company. So obviously you want to push truth and you want your activity to be on truth. That's fine. Just sign on a few times a day and look at what your base is saying. Don't listen to these shillsters. Don't listen to them. They are actually, most of them want you to fail. They want you to. God, I mean, it's like a bad rerun, Robert, of the same shitty movie over and over again. You might have noticed I'm getting a little annoyed at it. It's like, it's just boring. It's boring me now. It's just, it's intellectually boring. I just see.
And the two issues with going after Massey is, from my own perspective, I love Massey's independence on issues of food freedom, financial freedom, political freedom, medical freedom. One of the lead advocates against COVID lockdowns, lead advocates against mask mandates, lead advocates against the COVID vaccine, lead guy outing Anthony Fauci, lead guy against the Fed, lead guy against the Patriot Act, lead guy against all the wars. But putting that aside, just looking at this tactically, one, it's a waste of money and resources. You have limited resources. Why are you going to spend $20 million to try to take out Thomas Massey? Try to take out Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Another 20 to take out MTG? First of all, she's not beatable, bro.
And let's call it what it is. This is Swampy Susie Wiles lining the pocket of her pal Chris LaCivita, who is a bottom barrel bum. And God bless certain cabinet members. You can't gaslight me into believing that Susie Wiles is anything other than the Swampy Susie corporate whore she has been her whole life. And this is about Chris LaCivita loves this. This is why when Robert Kennedy said, "Don't worry,"
get money out of this, bro.
When Robert Kennedy said, "Don't worry, Susie Wiles is great," Chris LaCivita says, "I want names. Give me names right now of anybody who's saying anything negative." That's what a scuzzbag this guy is. That's what a scuzzbag Swampy Susie is. That's how Kennedy got rewarded for defending her, was Chris LaCivita demanding public names of anybody so they can go out and blacklist them. They can go out and attack them. They can go out and destroy their jobs and employment. like they're trying to do to Tucker's crew. But otherwise, Chris LaCivita lines his pocket by Trump demanding the Zion Epstein list billionaires give a bunch of money to fund a campaign against Massey, fund a campaign, because he can't get a legitimate gig because nobody with an IQ over 50 is going to hire Chris LaCivita to run an election for town councilor. So he needs Trump to go after these people so that there's huge money that lines his pockets. That's what this is about. And this is why Swampy Susie says, yeah, go after Thomas Massey. Yeah, go after Marjorie Taylor Greene. Because it lines her pals' pockets. She's been a corporate whore her whole life.
Randy's fine.
There's nobody in the campaign world that respects Swampy Susie. Nobody. She's good at stabbing people in the back in a bunch of different circles and segments. But beyond that, go after. So one, it's a waste of money. Two, you antagonize the entire libertarian part of the base, which is 2 to 3% of the vote, which in close elections is the difference between winning and losing. But last but not least, this is a lose-lose bargain. Either Thomas Massey wins, in which case it tells the world Trump has no capital.
My phone is ringing right now.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
It is. It is.
So either Massey wins and Marjorie Taylor Greene wins, in which nobody's scared of Trump anymore, or let's say they take out Massey or Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now there's a 2028 serious independent third-party candidate. Do you think that if Marjorie Taylor Greene lost, she would not run for 2028? Do you think if Massey lost, he wouldn't run for 2028?
Let me just give people some background.
Donor bases across the nation.
Let me just
give you 2, 3, 4, 5% third party that dooms any candidate for 2028. That's why it's stupid politics. Whatever you think of Massey, whatever you think of Marjorie Taylor Greene, This is called stupid, stupid, stupid.
Yeah, let me give people some background too. There's two versions of this story. One version is that MTG corralled just enough Republican votes to sign onto this petition, and that, I mean, some of her text messages she made public. All right, so that she really wanted the president to lean in on this issue because she thought, that's weird. Yeah, that's not weird. That's called the handshake. Okay. So anyway, I've been down this road before. They try to be nice. It's weird. It's like you know that they're pissed at you, and then they like love bomb you. And it's like it's like a love bomb, and you're like, whoa, I don't know what to do here. But you know that's part of the they got people attacking you that are peripheral, right? And separate, so they can pretend that their hands are clean in it, and then they love bomb you, and that's supposed to be some tactic. I mean, I'm so glad I'm independent from that world, whereas I'm free to say what I want to say without having to worry about being bankrupted or never getting a job or something like that. I'm very fortunate to be in that. But still, nevertheless, this is this weird thing that happens. It's not going to persuade me. You're not going to love bomb me. You know what's going to persuade me? You do what you said you were going to do. All right. And stop going after, like Robert just said, no matter what you think of these two, MTG, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, my wife is a great judge of character, and she never liked MTG. She didn't. But the fact of the matter is, Robert, it doesn't matter. If you look at Georgia, do you remember when he ran Patrick and Jody and Purdue, and they had this slate of MAGA in Georgia? They were going to throw out Raffensperger, and they were going to throw out the secretary. That was Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. They were going to throw out the governor. We pulled that race. We pulled that for all of them, by the way, just so you guys know. All right. And, it was very clear that, sure, they had about 25 to a third of the vote. That was about it at any given time. But there was a problem with pulling together the entire Republican coalition against that part of the party. And the reason is there's still a lot of country club Southern Republicans in a state like Georgia. You have basically two different kind of Republicans, that old school one, and then that newer arrival that's more educated, but they identify more with the traditional Republican. And there's, the Southern Trumper, and they used to be ancestral Democrats. And that's why Trump does so much better in driving out certain votes in Georgia than other Republicans did. It's why Purdue and Loeffler lost, because they couldn't get that vote out the way that Trump could get it out. MTG was the only Republican And I know it's a different district, but it doesn't matter. The entire state exhibited this behavior. The only slight variation in the swings and the difference in preferences between the different factions was actually in the Atlanta and Atlanta metro area, where it was actually more pro-Kemp, right? The Kemp wing. But throughout the rest of the state, Trump's candidates went down. They went down in a blaze of glory. And the only one who earned votes from both sides of the faction was Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that should be significant to people. So it's not, Georgia's one of the weakest. As somebody who's polled the impact of the Trump endorsement since it became a thing and like all over the country, Georgia is the weakest Trump state as far as the impact of his endorsement. All right. So what I mean by that is, the voters are less swayed. Trump's endorsement will get you to a quarter of the vote. That's about, and I know it's like, oh my God, really? Yes. It will get you to about a quarter of the vote. The rest of the way, it's very difficult to get there. And then also, you and I discussed it at the time, the phenomenon in Georgia of incumbent voting. Because of the way the ballot is set up, this is very well discussed and documented. People know this. There was actually a nice chunk, about 16% of undecideds go, like truly, I don't know if I want Perdue or Kemp, Republican voters. But a bunch of them just went with Kemp because he was the incumbent on the ballot. And we could actually see it all over, whether it was Jody Heiss's race against Raffensperger or what have you. Patrick, great guy. Great guy, Patrick was. But he was just caught up in this phenomenon, so he couldn't win his race either, statewide race. So, I mean, this is not the state to even be doing this in, Robert, is my point. Like, I don't know who's telling the president this, but again, bad advice from people who stand and make millions off of giving that bad advice. I mean, that's the ultimate problem here, right? Are going to weaken him and damage him, because a loss like this, the way that he's getting another loss here with the House today, losses rack up and losses cost political capital. And the more that your own conference, right, or which I'm talking about members of Congress, for people who don't understand that term, the more that your own conference sees that you can be stood up to and defeated as a leader, as the standard bearer of the party, the president at the time, the more these challenges keep coming. And by the way, the more the backstabbing keeps coming. So when you really need them, they're not going to be there for you because they're looking at how, I don't know, the MTG thing was dealt with, right? You have a bunch of MAGA candidates in Congress right now who are looking at one guy in particular that they're wondering, why did he do this to us? Because they can't stand this guy. His name is Randy Fine. And real MAGA in the House are like, so Donald Trump supported this guy when there were other choices. Donald Trump supported this guy. He turned out to be, he was told, the president was told that he would support everything Trump wanted. But what he wasn't told is that he really is an agent of a foreign government. Like Randy Fine is not a U.S. representative, guys. This guy is all about Israel. If it was Israel or you, he's picking Israel every time. And now there are all these Republicans in Congress going like, what? I'm talking about, there's only a few good MAGA people, like really MAGA people. And they're like, oh my God, we're going to have this guy for how long? Like, how long is this guy going to be a problem for us? He's not, he's an issue. I mean, that was a significant regression. If you're going to keep bringing people like this into the party 10 years into the movement, and it does nothing but benefit the consultant class, and the other primary challenges do nothing but benefit the consultant class, then what's the movement for? What's the point of the movement? You're supporting people like Lindsey Graham and Randy Fine, and I can go down the list, and you're attacking OG MAGA. Like it just, and it's not going unnoticed anymore. And it's like once upon a time, this stuff may be seen as in party fighting and bickering, a dispute among siblings, and it's whatever that happens in the Republican Party. And it's not like the Democratic Party. People have individual views. I don't know. It's leaked all out to the voter now. The vote. I mean, it's just not a good look. You know who did a really good video about this? Alex Jones, and to discuss why this is dangerous and this is not the right use of our time. That's what he said, and he did it with utmost respect. Trying to be respectful, but he said what you said. This benefits nothing but the consultants. They're the ones who make out on this. The president's not benefited by this at all. The voters aren't benefited by this at all. So, I mean, and Look at who is running against Thomas Massey, guys. Look, I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but every time the establishment brings in one of these, Navy SEALs or whatever it may be, by the way, Meyer in Michigan, before Gibbs beat him in a primary, Peter Meyer, he was just like in the mold of this. He just like reminds me of this 100%. And they just turn out to be Tom Cotton rhinos, and neocons, like in the mold of Tom Cotton. It's a regression, Robert. It's a regression. And 10 years into a movement, you can't regress like this if you want to survive. You can't.
Well, it's a threefold problem. Problem one is the tactically go back and look at Obama, Clinton, Reagan, Nixon, Eisenhower. Find me the president, at least popular president to some degree, that is perceived as a successful president, that primaried their own members of Congress, particularly that primaried two of the most popular members with different parts of the base. And how you can measure that is what is the breadth of their small donor base. Number one and number two in small donor base support are Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Then you have the second problem, which is by attacking these members, if you're unsuccessful, you communicate to all the other Republicans that your endorsement doesn't matter jack, which all of a sudden radically reduces your political capital. They no longer have any fear of you whatsoever. If you are successful, then you have the other downside that you have these voters and individuals looking at running third-party independent campaigns in 2028. So either way, it's a net loss. Tactically.
Yeah.
Third, these voters, these two representatives represent two distinct constituencies he's failed to deliver promises on. In the case of Thomas Massey, it's issues like food freedom, cutting the budget, those and COVID accountability. Because he was big on all of those issues. And Trump has completely failed on all three, and on this, at least so far. And on Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's January 6th, it's lawfare, it's Israel, where Trump is also perceived to fail. So you are communicating to those voter groups, oh, I don't care about your issues, I'm against your issues. And then you look at who he's going to bat for, and it's not only Randy Fine, he's obsessively going to bat for Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham, who's the biggest neocon war whore in the whole Senate. Lindsey Graham, who said he wanted January 6 people shot in the head.
Yep.
That's who President Trump
Because he was pissing himself. Because he was pissing himself. Let's just call it how it is. Lindsey Graham, what Tucker said, why does it take someone like Tucker to get so pissed off and then throw a bomb before something like that is told out in the open? Like a story like that is told out in the open. As Paul Dans is working in a dark room in Georgia trying to save the presidency, Trump's presidency, in the wake of the 2020 election, Lindsey Graham is in the living room of a well-known donor from Texas, basically saying, we all know the election was stolen, but my hands are tied. Let's move on, and that obviously mocking Trump to a grand jury. It doesn't matter. It came from Michael Isikoff, guys. It's grand jury testimony. All right. I mean, there's no, did he fake grand jury testimony? For those of you who don't know what Lindsey Graham told the grand jury, he's telling donors he knows the election is stolen, but his hands are tied. He can do nothing. Move on. And he's telling the grand jury in Georgia that, joking, making fun of Donald Trump and saying that you could tell Donald Trump that Martians came down from space and stole the election from him and he would believe it, mocking him. I mean, this is, and that gets rewarded. But being MTG, you get called a traitor. And again, that's not an endorsement of MTG, guys, or an endorsement of any of the ones, that we're going into. It's just a matter of not being smart. It's not the right way to build coalitions. It's not the right way to hold together support for you, because I'm telling you this right now, Robert, this time is a lot different. He can't run again. He's got nothing else to give them. In Lindsey's case, he's got to hang on until the primary is over. But if Trump's political support falls to 40 or below, they're out. And they will this time vote to convict him when Democrats, because and a lot of people don't, but Democratic staffers have been very busy for months. They're putting together bribery charges against all the people Robert just rattled off. It's good to talk to the opposition folks. Sometimes you learn things. Okay. They have this all ready to go. They are not flying in the seat of their pants. They're set up with allegations with jets and this and that. And they're coming once they get the House. They're coming hard. And I'm telling you, if you think Lindsey Graham, by the time Donald Trump's approval falls to 40% or 38%, if you think Lindsey Graham is going to be Donald Trump's friend, you are crazy. You are crazy. He's out. He's voting to convict. So we're enough of them to get the 60. And this time he will be thrown out. Last time they were concerned that he could run again. Last time they were concerned that MAGA wasn't done for, that they would have to deal with Donald Trump in some capacity or not. They're not concerned anymore. They're not.
Joseph in the chat. I've been getting this from people in the White House. It's not that Trump's doing anything wrong. It's that we're the ones damaging Trump. Bro, this is what I told people in the White House. We are the messenger. We are not the message. We are not shaping this. We are not creating this.
Unbelievable.
We are relaying this.
Unbelievable.
It's what I told people last week. I talked to all kinds of people all across the White House.
Yeah,
I was like, folks, you can be as mad at me. Susie Wiles can be as mad at me as you want. I'm not the issue. I could disappear tomorrow, and this reality ain't changing.
This would still be a problem for you. You're not for
the
nothing.
problem is voters no longer believe you, no longer trust you, no longer think you care about them. Yes. And they never thought the Republican Party did. So now that they don't think Trump does, they're off the train. And the others are about to jump off the train. And I'm just laying it out as an objective political analysis. When you have a bad beverage curve where the job openings are drastically declining and the layoffs are drastically rising, you don't go out there calling it a golden era. When people have the highest, worst level of delinquency of credit card debt, student loan debt, used car debt in American history, don't tell them it's the golden era. Yeah. When their wages are falling behind the cost of living and they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care, they can't even afford a gosh darn used car, don't tell them it's the golden era. Your problem is you. I'm not creating this. I'm not creating these hundreds of millions of people that are unhappy. Nor is Richard. We're just relaying it to you. Nor is Rasmussen, nor is Mark Mitchell at Rasmussen Reports. We're literally just relaying it to you, but you don't want to hear it.
You don't want to literally don't. Mark and I, guys, to people like that, do you understand that Mark and I are literally putting up the voices of voters in what is a truly remarkable thing for a pollster to do? We're asking, in Mark's case, he's asking for comments and DMs and stuff like the stuff you've seen us put up is directly from our polling. We are taking the remarkable step, which you will not see pollsters do, of sharing with you not just the answers to the interview questionnaire itself, but the voters' own words. What do you think we're doing that for? We're doing it because you're so stubborn and you're in your refusal to hear the voices of other people that we decided that, well, maybe we'll just show them what these people are saying themselves, and you still don't want to believe it. The truth is, you're no better than Obama's supporters. You're no better than Biden supporters. In fact, I don't know. In many cases, you might be worse because you were the ones who won off of the message of the forgotten man and woman, right? These people have been forgotten by the bubble of DC, forgotten by the bubble of their own social and political circles, and they weren't being heard. Well, you won on that message, and now you're doing that very same thing to these people because they don't want to be like you, which is, and again, I got to tell you, you may seem like you're loud on X, but you are the minority, and and your money is shrinking every single day. Until you wake up from this whatever stupor you are in and reflect reality, this will get worse for you. And Robert and I, like he said, we could vanish tomorrow and never do another podcast again. I could never put out another tweet again, and you will still have this problem because I'm going to show you something right now, actually. In the beginning, I remember Jason from Qantas was like, bro, I don't think it is the Epstein. I think it's all the economy. And I'm like, well, that's nice for you, Jason. You're wrong. You know, I mean, that's it. Like, I just waited. You're wrong. It started with Epstein. Then it was the pivot to foreign policy. It was a number of things, including Trump's own post saying he didn't want supporters anymore. I mean, guys, you are one of those people that, that's it for you. No matter what Trump does, it's never going to be a problem. What's the alternative, right? You think like that. For that, these people don't think like that. You're in a minority. You are in a minority, and you can't win with this size of a minority. Do you understand? We tried to wake you up. You didn't listen, and it got worse. Now here's where Jason is. I wish I had his permission to share the contents of our conversation, because let me just sum it up for you. Oops, I fucked up. You were right. That's the context of the conversation. It did start with this. Now the sentiment is so negative. It's so deep. It is going to be very difficult to climb your way out of this. You didn't listen. I don't know what to say. You're still not listening. It's unbelievable. Did we just make all these charts up? Are you kidding?
Well,
It's unbelievable. The bubble is thick, Robert. It's like, I don't know what else you could do to pop it.
what else is?
And let me just say this. I know somebody who went today to speak again on our behalf, and the text I just got when Robert was speaking last was they're even more out of touch than we think they are. That's what one of our guys just said, leaving the White House right now. He left 20 minutes ago.
And to give some sense of it, and then we go to the Senate.
Sorry.
What's happening is that Trump is out of touch. The voters perceive him to be out of touch. That he's starting to look like the caricature, old complaining old man, billionaire who likes to hang out on the golf course and fancy places. And that the most negative caricature that they did not see him as until now is settling in, and he's getting false information from Bessent about the economy. He's getting false information from Rubio about foreign policy, the Ukraine war, what's happening in Israel, what's happening in Venezuela, all of that as they try to escalate the conflict everywhere. And then it's getting compounded by Susie Wiles, who's his main. Remember, and you don't have to take my word for it. Go look it up. Susie Wiles bragged that she was the main person picking who Trump has endorsed since 2022. That she's the one out there saying every endorsement, every is on her. So this attack on Massey, this attack on Marjorie Taylor Greene, this love affair with Lindsey Graham, that's all coming.
The end of 22, because that's when Bacon got the boot. So
yes, correct. So people are like, how does he nominate? How does he support some of these people? Susie Wiles is taking full credit for it. And here's the key. She and Chris LaCivita are working together to promote things that are going to line their pockets. Support donors, support the lobbying groups they're connected to, and actually get Trump to support campaigns against Massey, against Marjorie Taylor Greene, and support of Lindsey Graham that will line their pockets. Chris LaCivita, and that's why he's being told that Thomas Massey's at 8% approval in his district. That's why he's being told that Marjorie Taylor Greene will get crushed in a primary. Utter nonsense, by the way. Utter nonsense. But these people easily get away with the lying because everybody in the cabinet is terrified to cross Susie Wiles.
They're scared.
Because she's a nasty inside game player. There's a reason why DeSantis still hates her. Because she tried to do this to DeSantis and take over the entire Florida power structure after his gubernatorial win. And Mrs. DeSantis wasn't happy about it and decided to realized what was coming. For all of DeSantis' limitations, he's never been bad at the inside game. He's always been very good at the inside game. And his wife very good at the inside game. They realized who Susie Wiles was and got rid of her. Susie Wiles has this problem going all the way back to Jacksonville. When she was the chief of staff for the Jacksonville mayor's office, they had to run her off because she was always gatekeeping and monopolizing control and preventing him from getting accurate intel. Now,
they're running against her
for choosing her. But
time.
Don't be deceived. This is why the bubble is as bad as it is. And this is why that as we get to the Senate maps, I see this is where things are going unless something radically dramatic. There's a radical reversal.
Yeah, where's 270? Let's go back to 270. By the way, I was told that they're going to run against her and this circle. So I'm talking about for the nomination, guys. they're going to run against like her and what they're going to call, which is like really smart actually, because Bannon, I don't know how he's going to do this, but Bannon doesn't like the tech oligarchy they're building around Trump either. And he doesn't like the big pharma connections, all of that. So, they have an argument that's going to sound a lot like Steve Bannon. Let me just say it like this. All right.
Yeah,
so
and DeSantis, to his credit, is getting politically smarter.
this is smart.
He's piggybacking up. He's going to run against the tech bros. He's going to run hard against immigration. Now, if he's really smart, he'll reverse his neocon ways and run against foreign interventions. I don't think he's got the cojones for that. The problem that even
no way
brothers are going to have, Israel is going to be. We predicted this 6 months ago. Nobody wanted to listen to us. We just got bashed as Jew haters and anti-Semites.
Yep.
Ro Khanna's already predicting it. The Democratic primary, the most anti-Israel candidate will win that nomination. That's who's going to win the nomination, the Democratic presidential nomination 2028.
Yeah, I already know. I already know.
And on the Republican side,
who's going to be the Democratic nominee, and everyone on the right laughs.
The surge candidate on the Republican side will either have a J.D. Vance geopolitical realist, Charlie Kirk realist position on Israel, or be anti-Israel. Ted Cruz is planning on running on the Israel First ticket 2028. He will get humiliated worse than 2016.
Robert, isn't it a humiliation, though, that he is even because he's running around right now to all the AIPAC people. I think I sent you that chart. I'm not sure if I showed you the ramping of spending from AIPAC since the October attack. But isn't it a humiliation in and of itself that we're still even having a conversation where Ted Cruz is considering running again? Like, so what I'm saying is, isn't it just that fact alone humiliating for the Republican Party? Like, they should know by now. And they don't, Robert. So it's like they're just not learning, and that's not a good. It's just not a good thing.
They're in more of a bubble than they were in 2016. The reason why Trump was able to steamroll them is they were paying no attention to voters. All Trump did is listen to voters and repeat what they said. I know right now he likes to fancy and imagine that he created MAGA. He didn't. He just heard a bunch of voters saying MAGA, and he was like, MAGA. I mean, that's how that worked. God bless Trump.
You and I know how the story went. Exactly. It was MAGA running around the country looking for the right candidate to get behind. That's exactly OG MAGA. And they landed on Donald Trump, and they had an interview with Donald Trump, who a lot of people, by the way, Paul Dans was one of the ones who said, I think and have always thought it is Donald Trump, by the way, who's running against Lindsey Graham. That's the thanks he gets. All right. So Bannon and a bunch of them went to Trump Tower to talk to Donald Trump and interview him. And it's funny. I mean, Trump knocked it out of the park with the exception of popularist. Yeah. I've always been a popularist.
That's how well developed Trump's
I won't
understanding.
tell that story any more than that, but that's how
well Trump's understanding of the movement is. But let's shift to the. So I think that's where we are presidential map wise.
Let me just show that real quick. Look at
that. Spending jobs and money all over the place. And don't be surprised if you see a tech bro AIPAC because there's other natural alliances.
Yes.
Here's what I love. If you want to convince people that that Nick Fuentes is a Jew hater, and I believe he is. I've said so many times before.
Yes.
But here's how you don't convince his audience. You don't have like 5 different Jewish groups form back-to-back conventions and say they're going to use all their power to deplatform a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Give me Mark Levin's like, it's outrageous. He says Jews running everything. Well, we do run everything, and by golly, we got to use our power. These people are so politically daft. It is mind-boggling.
So stupid.
But yeah, let's go to the Senate map and go through the races because I'll have probably some surprising picks for people.
I moved some stuff around here just to show people. I'm trying to give them an idea of how easy it would be, honestly, in a very bad environment. Guys, you remember Mark Pryor won Arkansas the last time it was an environment like this. This is serious. I'm trying, this is very serious. You have to wake up. Otherwise, just don't. So that's why I'm making laughing emojis on Twitter, because at this point, your denial is not borderline. It's beyond the absurd. And I'm laughing at at it because I have to laugh. Like otherwise, it just will make me angry. But okay, here's 270 to win. I'm curious what you do think. I already put North Carolina in the blue column. I just pulled this race. This is very bad for Republicans, Robert. I very bad.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe start with it, just sort of top and then move across the country. That makes sense. So Maine's going to go blue. I think this is it. I think Collins needed a better environment to win in, and I think Maine is going to nominate not the former governor, but
no way.
I think they're going to nominate the left populist despite this controversy, and I think that left populist is
Nazi tattoos and all, bro.
He's going to be much more popular in northern Maine. They don't care about that in northern Maine, to be honest with you. The part of the district he needs
at all.
And Portland, the part of the district cares about it. Portland, they ain't voting for Susan Collins again, is my view, based on where they're at. Maybe some of the suburbs she can do well in, but where she's going to get crushed is northern Maine is going to swing back. I think even this House seat, despite Golden stepping down, is going to stay Democrat because they're the kind of constituency. You go back to pre-2016 map. You go, and that's the basics I'm operating under based on looking at all the data. Yeah. And that is no longer a Republican lean seat. It is now a Democratic lean seat. So I have Maine. I think Sununu, despite it being Sununu, giving him a better chance, I think he'll beat Brown with relative ease in the primary. Problem is, again, this is going to sweep through places like northern New Hampshire, and you're already losing southern New Hampshire.
Yeah, how could you hold on?
Transplant. So I see that staying Democrat. Massachusetts obviously going to stay Democrat. New Jersey's obviously going to stay Democrat. Virginia, obviously. I agree with you. North Carolina. I don't even think North Carolina's going to be close. I don't think North Carolina's going to be close.
It's not right now. I'm telling you right now, it's not. And listen, we asked about favorability. Obviously, Whatley has some room to grow. Not everybody knows who he is. But again, 8 points. You know my polling, the history of my polling, Robert. I don't have leads like this for people. Okay, like that. We don't do that, especially not in the battleground states. Normally, when I see leads like that, I think it's more of an indication that, you know, it's a bad sample or something. Like that is just not how this works. It is real because the independent vote that we see is in our recalled vote, it's flawless. I mean, they voted for Trump, not by a huge margin, but they voted for Trump by about 3 points. And now they're voting against Whatley by double digits. So this is, it's an 18 points. Yeah, it's an 18-point swing against the Republican candidate from Trump's standing to Whatley. So it's not just people don't know who he is. It's independents who say, I don't really know him all that well, but you know what? I don't care. I'm voting for Cooper. Like that's it. It's bad. Immediately, by the way, I sent this to a bigwig in the Republican House. And he was just like, oh yeah, we're cooked. Whatley's cooked. Like, I mean, he thought this is, oh, sure. Yeah, we knew that. I don't want to get her in trouble or anything, but Sandy Smith, like I sent it to every Politico in North Carolina I know. I'm like, this is bad. What does anyone plan on doing about this? Do you guys like, not even that, but just like, wake up, hello. And not only did nobody dispute that, not only was it not disputed, Robert, everyone had the, yeah, that's definitely a foregone conclusion, which it shouldn't be because Cooper's popularity as a governor should not translate into strength as a candidate for a federal race. They're breaking all the rules of psephology here, brother. Like they're breaking every rule. Look at what's his name who ran against Marsha Blackburn. He was a very popular governor, Phil Bradenton. And, you know, the Democrats were going on and on about how he was going to actually perform well. There was tight polls. We polled it. It was not close. Blackburn stomped him because that's the way it normally goes. Andy Beshear would not make a great Senate candidate in Kentucky just because he's the governor of Kentucky. That doesn't work that way. And yet it is working this way in North Carolina. It's bad. I don't know how you undo an 18-point swing.
Well, frankly, you need Laura Trump to step in and Whatley.
I literally messaged and said, I think you need to rethink this.
Yep.
I did.
South Carolina.
I did.
Move South Carolina to a toss-up. And my reason for that is if Paul Dams wins, South Carolina stays red. But if Lindsey Graham wins, that is a toss-up seat. Because my prediction is there'll be a significant third-party challenger. There's a bunch of people that hate Graham in that state. And remember, Graham underperformed in 2020. I think he'll underperform again, and they could actually lose that seat. Georgia State, I would move Florida light red rather than dark red. Because again, in an environment of +8 Democratic, and especially with the big Hispanic swing going back to pre-2016 numbers.
Yeah.
Florida, a whole different,
Thank
people.
God the Cubans and Venezuelans, because they're going to save the day in South Florida.
That's what they got to hope. But those Cubans are just about to vote a Democrat for mayor of Miami.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I know it's a hope, but it is a federal race, so I'm giving them the you know what I mean. I'm giving that like rule the benefit of the doubt. But
that's why I still have a slight lean. But if you went back and worked the numbers to pre-2016 numbers amongst the Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and Venezuelans, then all of a sudden that's a toss-up race.
Oh my God, Barack Obama split them with Mitt Romney. People don't seem to understand this.
Correct.
Until America First came around, which if you look at the annual survey from the University of Miami, which is the Cuban poll, you will see that Cubans only took a hard right again because of America First, period. End of story, full stop. That's it. Because of America First. How are these ads going over top my damn map, Robert?
No.
Damn.
And I would even say that I still have these as dark red for now. But take places like Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama. Remember, Alabama voted Democrat in 2017.
Yeah.
Tennessee, West Tennessee district, that's the populous part of the district mixed in with some Nashville suburbs and Nashville urban areas, is a plus 20. It's basically the same as a state, plus 22 Trump lean in district. Trump's PAC is now there spending a bunch of money trying to salvage the seat. The fact that seat is anywhere near competitive means Tennessee is not quite the lock everybody thinks it is. So same with Kentucky and replacing the Mitch McConnell. If it's another Mitch McConnell protege, some of these seats that people think could never be competitive have a habit of showing up competitive in a sweep.
Why Andrew's doing his best to nominate someone who's actually a good candidate. We ran his ad on the show, and I'm talking about Andrew Straitman.
If they get good populist nominees out of these seats, good shape. If they don't, you could see some surprises. Ohio, I put in the blue column. I mean, Sheldon Brown has run ahead of the Democrats.
Well, then that's it. Then that's a wrap, bro. Then that's a wrap.
Well, I even have more after this. But Ohio would make blue.
Let's see what you got.
Husted is a weak nominee. Sheldon Brown is a very strong nominee.
Yeah,
he's already running ahead in some surveys. But you look at the same industrial voter groups that are trending Democratic in New Jersey and Virginia, along with some of the rural
forget.
Groups.
Go ahead.
Along with some of the Appalachian voters that, people who would just assume Ohio is safe are ignoring that if you go to a pre-2016 foundation, it leans Democrat.
And not only in 18, it swung back hard as hell. Sherrod Brown held on against Jim Renacci. It was a horrible candidate, your textbook rhino kind of Republican. It immediately went back. Cordray did not perform as well, obviously, but this is the way these states have been for a long time. It has always been about the working class foundation of your base. Everywhere from the southeastern tip of the Ohio River Valley all the way up along the eastern border of Ohio until you get to Mahoning is all going to be in play. That's it. It will, and it shouldn't be. No. It should not be. This is where somebody like J.D. Vance is such a strong candidate because he smacks in areas like that. Yeah, and you have to understand, guys. Yes, he won by 6 points, but he won against one of the strongest candidates Democrats put off the bench in a long time in the state of Ohio. So that 6-point win was a dominant, very impressive win for Vance at the time. And by the way, it was a little bit over 6. But and then of course he's got the Cincinnati suburbs where he hails from. So like it does a little balancing there, So.
And I agree with you that Texas is lean red, but depending on how that primary shakes out.
When you're done, I'll show you what I think. Go ahead.
But the Iowa, I have blue, and it's 2 reasons. One, Iowa's very rural, populist, Midwest, very anti-war instincts, a range of issues where a big food freedom place where Trump has completely failed to deliver anything. And that's problem 1. But the problem 2, people forget this was a lean Democratic state more often than not in the pre-2016 era. Third, you look
2018 at 2018 and went back blue, by the way.
There's some good populists running in the Senate, but there's also a big establishment candidate they're pushing. It will likely be the establishment candidate gets the nomination.
Who has Trump's endorsement?
Correct. Exactly. Trump endorsed the establishment candidate. And why is that going to matter? People aren't
paying attention. She called this for Nikki Haley, by the way.
But a very popular libertarian is likely to run for this Senate seat. This is what happens when you decide to piss on Thomas Massey and the libertarian base for a year. You enrage them, you antagonize them. Libertarians are very well organized. They're very well funded. They have one of the most popular libertarian candidates in the history of the state. He's like, and when the establishment candidate wins the nomination, as is likely, I would love for the populist guy to win. I've met him before, but assuming the Trump endorsement allows her to win, watch for the libertarian candidate to get 5 to 10% of the vote, and that dooms it. And that's why I have Democrats right now. I would call for the Democrats to win the Senate in 2026.
Yeah, I think if the election was held today, I think Republicans are in deep, deep trouble. But here's where, like, I'm going to do what I think here. I'm going to turn what I think should be battleground back to battleground. Jesus, Disney. I don't know why I'm getting Disney ads. Like, I would even get, like, I watch the Disney Channel. Even my kids don't watch Disney. Let me show you guys what I think is in play first. Okay. I don't think Michigan is even close. That's one thing Robert jumped over. I don't even think it's close to in play. Mike Rogers couldn't carry the day with Donald Trump on the ticket. It's very clear why. He ran too far behind Donald Trump with the like Saginaw working class. It's Southeastern. You know,
one last thing.
5 points.
I have Alaska as a swing state. Whatever's happening there, the Democratic candidate is consistently doing better than expected. So if you throw Alaska in as a swing state, that Democrats could end up with 52 seats.
Yeah, I don't think it's red. I'll put it here for now. The polling though sucks. Like everyone's pushing.
It's really bad.
Research. Yeah, that Alaska. Everyone's like, oh, I saw the Democrats. They're like, oh, they got a great record too. This is good for us.
What does Alaska have a ton of?
They don't have a great record.
But a ton of libertarians, a ton of populist-oriented voters. The two groups he's ticked off the most. There's a ton of them in Alaska.
Yeah, at this point, bro. I mean, I think it's like generous to put North Carolina as a battleground. I just pulled it and I'm telling you it's not. It's done. In 22, Republicans had, someone like Herschel Walker where they couldn't get him over the finish line. Donald Trump was like the sole. There's only been a few rays of sunshine in Georgia for Republicans, and that they have all been when Donald Trump it was either on the ticket or directly involved. They all blamed him for the runoffs in 2020. That's BS. That's just garbage. They should be blaming themselves for allowing what happened in Georgia to happen, right? With the signature verifications. So Georgia, I just think Ossoff is going to win that. That's it. I mean, there's not much else to say there. We know what happened in Karen Handel's race, right? In some certain areas that really matter. And now we have this fight with MTG. And this is what the consultants aren't telling Donald Trump, that this fight with MTG is going to, I put the comment up, somebody in YouTube, I put your comment up before, that'll keep 20% of the base home. Are you kidding me? The people just don't seem to understand what makes people tick. I don't know how you could work in politics for as long as some of these people do, Robert, and still not understand the American public. South Carolina, I do think, like, I don't know. I guess I would make it light red, but if Lindsey Graham wins, or for that matter, if like Mark Warner would win, Mark Warner would lose. He's going to lose in this environment. He's going to lose. But I'll leave it there now because of the uncertainty. But Maine, New Hampshire, Collins has a record of outperforming. It's just there's been some polling that I've looked at that the public hasn't seen. And they made the case to me like this. Collins has finally reached a point where the fence straddling is not a viable situation for her anymore. So if you want to try to keep turnout, especially against the populist candidate. No, it's a left-wing populist guy. He's going to beat the governor. He's going to beat the governor. I mean, it's going to happen. But that's going to hurt you in the 2nd congressional district because now these voters are choosing between somebody who's not MAGA at all. Yeah, they have an R after their last name. So what? Like they're tired of her. They've had issues with her in the past. And in some cases, which is the last case when she ran, guys, Donald Trump was on the ballot with her. So he drove that turnout in the 2nd congressional district high enough where enough people said, okay, whatever, I'll vote for Collins. But she still did well enough in Bangor and Portland and all these areas where Republicans struggle. Even Donald Trump struggles. They're done with her now. And the fence straddling is not. It's not, like I said, it's not viable. Assuming they're right, which I think they probably are, I would give it a lean just because I'm willing to give Collins a little bit of benefit of the doubt because she has outperformed quite a bit in the past. But
I made a bunch of You know, made a bunch of money betting on her in 2020 when she was the
But that was
DNC.
2020, Robert.
The-
That's
yeah,
this
yeah.
environment is not that environment is
Correct.
not this environment. She's going to get swept out. Ohio, I just don't think Husted is. I don't think this is a Senate race again. I just don't see it, man. I think that's going blue. And I think actually I'll put that as light, and Iowa at this point, I'd put a little darker, because Iowa, look at 18 is a great example. It actually has a tendency to it doesn't have as much resistance as Ohio. It just doesn't. All right. So look at where, that's a red hand. I got news for you, because North Carolina is the problem. I know that people think, well, Rich, let's give Lindsey Graham his, let's give Cornyn his. You're still at like 40. I just don't see it, guys. Everyone is giving Republicans the benefit of the doubt because they're giving them Iowa and they're giving them Ohio. And I just don't see it. These races, these states are, even if you gave Alaska, that would only be 50. All they need is one F up, Robert. Let's say they nominate Paxton, and God love Ken. He's behind in a statewide race. He's behind. So immediately Democrats are at an even race. Like, this is a lot more viable than people think, this idea. It's just
the only thing I would say with Texas is, I mean, what is there you have all the attacks on Paxton, and then you have an establishment hack in Cornyn. And so you've got risk.
You got Wesley Hunt in between.
The only reason why I still have Texas lean red is because it's clear Democrats are going to nominate Crockett. And Crockett will be a bad statewide candidate in Texas.
But against Paxton?
Yeah, against any of them. It's Crockett. You're a big,
I don't know, man.
urban
Paxton's
black
got baggage now. I'm sorry. He just does. He's got
I get that. But
when your wife is on X.
This is still Crockett. This is still Crockett. A urban, African-American, over-the-top, brash, bad history. That just doesn't sell in Texas.
Let's give it to them then.
That's why I have it lean red. I think the bigger risk is not so much Paxton. It's if Cornyn gets in and some libertarian inherits some MAGA votes that hate Cornyn. That's how I could see Crockett winning. That's why I think, for example, it's more risky for Graham to get the nomination in South Carolina.
Me too.
Than the challenger.
Me too.
And that's why I have Iowa lean blue.
Those Charleston silk stockings will vote for Dan's over Graham, dude. Right. They will, because he's not going to scare them.
You're not going to have a bunch of MAGA populist voters looking for a third-party candidate. There's so much anger built up in that part of the group. You need a candidate who libertarians and populist, hardcore populist voters feel comfortable with. If it's Graham in South Carolina, that's up for grabs. If it's Cornyn in Texas, that's up for grabs. If it's the establishment candidate in Iowa, that leans Democrat. That's where they're at.
67% said that they're tired of Lindsey Graham putting the needs of foreign nations over their own. Like, he's in a really bad. Do you remember in the Tea Party era, there were some senators down south that, they were incumbents for a long time, and people in Mississippi, this happened, by the way, and they didn't realize how unpopular this like neocon focus was, and this lack of addressing people's problems at home. And all the polls showed that they were up 6-8 points, and they were going to cruise, and they didn't, and they got stunned. Do you remember? It almost reminds me when Dave Bratt beat Eric.
The flip side. Not only that, remember Virginia Senate seat was supposed to be easy, cushy, and it went down to under the wire in 2014. So
if they didn't steal it,
these surprise swings catch people by surprise. And what I was looking at was, what are states that have pre-2016 Democratic leans? If we end up with a pre-2016,
well, that's why where I was going with this is that if it was today, Robert, this is gone and this is gone. Yep. And that's where
a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. And all they're going to do is impeach after impeach after impeach. And if you don't have a Republican Senate, then they'll drag it out with trial after trial after trial. And they're going to impeach everybody. They're not just Trump will be impeached, Hegseth will be impeached, Kennedy will be impeached, Gabbard will be impeached, who else? Rollins will get impeached, Bondi will definitely get impeached. I mean, these people are asleep at the wheel, not recognizing how much their own personal
Kristi
professional
Noem,
risk.
but they got a case against Kristi Noem too.
Oh yeah,
She's been
Kristi
giving
Noem definitely
people,
gets impeached.
yeah,
Those who definitely gets impeached is Trump, Bondi, and Noem. Those three for sure.
People may not know
If
what's
they're
going
smart,
on.
they will stay away from attacking Kennedy. They'll stay away from attacking Tulsi Gabbard if they're smart and follow the Ro Khanna script. But with Democrats, you can never bet on them being smart. And it's the one thing that keeps
Kristi
Republicans
Noem's actually pretty good, Robert. I've seen it. The case against Noem is actually pretty good. I mean, she bypassed.
And not only that, you've got Homan, who's got his own scandal issues that are lingering. So all the pay for play that's gotten wild.
That's what it is. It's pay for play. That's what it is. Against Noem, it is. She had a group, which is Corey Lewandowski now works for her. And I like Corey a lot. And he
doesn't just work for her.
Yeah. But Corey's significant. Robert just says the shit nobody's supposed to say in public. So, and I guess she makes up for that by giving these significant other tracks by bypassing. There's a process, guys, where like consulting firms have to apply, put in bids, and that there has to be this like kind of vetting process, and the better bid is supposed to win out. Well, this is effectively a group that was helped Noem get reelected when she was running for governor. It's the same. It's a consulting firm. It's the same one with the same players. The wife is the CEO of it, and there was no required bidding process. There was it's patronage politics, or the patron system,
Kash Patel also definitely get impeached. I mean,
what the hell is his girlfriend doing with Secret Service protection? What?
Can you imagine that?
My friend Charlie didn't get
team. He's got the FBI elite SWAT team apparently running around providing.
Oh, right, the FBI SWAT team. But my friend Charlie didn't get it.
Well, yeah,
I don't understand.
Exactly. I mean,
it's
embarrassing the personal use, and then the all kinds. There's plenty of good faith actors trying to do good stuff, and I'll quickly list off what look. If there was a sudden reversal, no more foreign wars, no more foreign intervention, no more foreign focus, no more bunch of foreign aid. Number one. Number two, a major refocus on the domestic agenda, which should be, hey, yeah, we inherited a bunch of problems from Biden, but we understand the problems are still here, and we want to do everything to focus on you. Highlight the trade school program. Make that a much bigger deal than they have. That there's major aid available now to go to trade schools and apprenticeship programs, things of that nature. Do something dramatic on the housing market. Do something dramatic on healthcare. Do something dramatic on financial issues. Whether it's recapitalizing banks, getting in a war with the Fed. Unleash, as Mark Mitchell's got his poll out today. Unleash the antitrust division. That is hugely popular in every single area. Food freedom, medical freedom, financial freedom. Go after the banks. Go after the big insurance companies. Go after the big ag, big corporate folks that are monopolizing that supply. Unleash food freedom. There's things that Rick Rollins herself can do. Not only end the cases against Amos Miller and other small farmers, but also embrace the right of ordinary people to buy food directly from the farmer. That unleashes small farmers and provides more choice to ordinary people. So and Richard and I have given all of these ideas to the administration. All key people have it. If they run with Robert Kennedy, the issue he has right now is they want relief for the vaccine injured. They want accountability for COVID, and they want a full accounting as to what the heck's happening on autism. So far, we haven't got any of those three at scale. He needs to deliver that. And he says Susie Wiles not an obstacle. Okay, I'll take him at his word. Then that means it's on him to get it done. He needs to get it done. And the administration needs to fully back it.
That's all he did, by the way, by saying that, by putting that tweet out.
I know, exactly. I thought it was ill-advised, but that is what it is. But so either way,
just showing people why. Yeah,
they can radically reverse course in a way that makes ordinary people, new MAGA and OG MAGA alike, believe that their issues are at the focal point, that their issues are the priority. But they have to move hard and they have to move fast. And what Richard and I are telling you is right now we're seeing no sign of it. And as long as there's no sign of it, the map's going to look 2006 style come next November.
I'm showing you guys this to show you the shifts in 18 that occurred in Iowa, and specifically Iowa at the congressional level. You can see what happened. So when you're looking at Senate races, you'll see where it comes from, right? So the first is always a very tough district. Republicans won it by a few hundred votes with Trump on the ballot again. But in 2018, when he was not on the ballot, you could see that they lost all but one district. They were swept out, except for, you can see the Northwestern. What is that? You know, you got the DeSantis, Trump, evangelical base of Northwestern Iowa. But the rest of the state, and especially why does it matter? Because Iowa has the largest number of pivot counties out of any state in the United States. 31 pivot counties, meaning they pivoted from the Obama era to Donald Trump. And they are the eastern counties, particularly, Robert, the eastern, and the south central, those counties, that's what's going to swing the state. Obviously, you have some big populous counties in the eastern central as well. But that's what swings the state. That's what dictates whether or not a Senate race is won or lost. And if you were looking at the Senate race conditions that we're looking at now in 2018, Republicans would lose that. They would lose it. This woman is not going to excite anybody, and she's locked down everyone. And I understand why they did it. I even understand Trump's idea on this one, which is that, hey, this is a state I won by 13 plus points. We shouldn't have to waste money here. The candidate that's a populist candidate is having trouble raising money. I get that. I do. But guess what? Your endorsement cures that, a lot of that. So if it is that red of a district, you find someone who truly does support you and is in your mold, and you back them. And you don't waste $20 million trying to get rid of Thomas Massey, or $20 million trying to get rid of MTG, and you give them support, because ultimately that helps your movement in the long term and short term shit. But it will help your movement in the long term, because the longer you keep these people in the Congress, the harder it is for Republicans to complete the realignment. And it's just not going to happen with John Thune as the face of the Senate. It's not going to happen with Mike Johnson and his, this is why I didn't want Mike to be the speaker, because he was a great blue collar conservative. His voting record was wonderful. You should have just kept McCarthy in that position to get beat up on. If you don't like Kevin, let Kevin take the blows. Instead you just pluck some guy out who had a great record, and you've ruined him. Plus, it's always going to ruin them even more, because that gavel changes your life. And it opens up doors that, meek people, who want to stay meek, should not want open for them. And that's a perfect job for somebody like Kevin McCarthy, because he's always been that kind of like, I'm not ideological, I'm a ball player kind of guy. So I was showing you guys this at this level. Also, what's important to remember is that the districts are considerably more favorable to Democrats now than they were in this year, in 2018. Democrats won, like Robert said, technically I think it was 7 or 8 points, but when you factored in what Robert said, it really was more like 5, but it doesn't matter. The bottom line is that they don't need that this year to do as much damage. They don't, and they're getting it. The Qantas poll, which we showed you guys before, they're still a little bit lagging us a little bit, but they have followed us. This is another thing with everybody who likes to throw their stupid attacks. In case you haven't noticed, we're, as usual, leading the trend. Everybody else is following us by a matter of weeks, a month, whatever it may be. I guarantee you the next generic ballot, if this political environment stays the same, the next generic ballot by Qantas and others will be somewhere in the neighborhood of Democrat plus 8, because the approval, which I told him, the approval 43-55, Robert, was identical for us on the day he stopped polling. And it's just gotten worse since. But on the day he stopped polling, it's remarkable how identical it was. The only thing is, I guess he's got, in his sample, he's got a few more voters who are still saying they approve of Trump, saying they're going to vote for the Republican. We have Trump's numbers still ahead of Republicans on the generic ballot by what they've typically been ahead of, 3-5 points, in that area. Now, I don't know. Trump may continue to fall so low that he's going to meet them. For people who don't know, our last generic ballot was 47-39. 47-39. Ugly, ugly, ugly. And that happened in the matter of a few weeks. It was like Democrat 1.2, Democrat 1.2, Democrat 7.8. Just like that. And it was this huge collapse among Republicans. And Robert, you know what that means. Those people are not going to vote third party. They're just not going to vote at all. And they're just going to let Democrats have it. And this is what Republican partisans don't get. Well, that's ridiculous. Everyone knows the Democrats are a worse alternative. No, everyone doesn't know that. They don't know that at this point. You have to actually deliver. Again, hearkening back to Charlie, I forget. He was like, "Oh God, woe is us if we don't deliver on this, bro. Woe is us if we don't deliver on this." He was so worried about this, and I'm like, how bad would it be, bro? How bad would it be? I'm like, doomsday level bad, Charlie. You have 2 years. You have less. You have like a year to convince all of these voters that you have effectively rebranded the Republican Party. If you don't succeed, we're going to end up with the left-wing version of Trump. And then that's going to be a disaster. And then, you know what happens after that. I don't know. That's my outlook right now, Robert. It is. And people are laughing, but I'll tell you who I think the Democratic nominee is going to be right now. If she's old enough, which I think she is, she'll be old enough. Yeah, oh yeah. Her, Jenny from the block. Gavin Newsom cannot beat her. It's a 40 to 45% nationally non-white primary. It will not be some white guy from the Bay Area. That we've been down this road before. Remember Steyer, Bloomberg, all these guys. They don't understand. This is not that kind of primary anymore. You can't beat somebody who speaks to the non-white, to the non-white part of the coalition. That's how Biden stopped Bernie. Because he still had Clyburn giving him the black Southern vote.
I think whoever runs against Israel on a left populist ticket will win the Democratic nomination.
Yeah, I wonder if she is or not, Robert.
She's
going to run as a pro-Israel candidate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's going to be someone who runs as an anti, and maybe someone we don't even know that picks up a governorship somewhere, something like that. It wouldn't surprise me if they come out of nowhere. A lot of these challengers kind of do. Nobody had Carter on their 76 map, really. Nobody, these
That's
kind
true.
of that come out of the blue. To a degree, Clinton was dismissed going into 92 because of his poor convention speech in 88. Who had Trump in 2016, for that matter? So a lot of times they kind of come out of the blue and bam, explode. But the issues will be left populism economics on housing and healthcare and other issues. They'll be following the Ro Khanna lead if they're smart and being anti-Israel, not just not being pro-Israel, but being anti-Israel will be a big Democratic primary winner. This is why Bibi Netanyahu is trying to get us to sign a 20-year defense deal.
Yep.
That's what that's all about.
He knows that's a big part of he knows it's almost over, Robert, at this point. I'll just point out that is the poll I was talking about, the Rosetta Stone. You'll notice Epic MRA, they modeled the electorate a lot more conservatively, which was smart. That is a smart thing to do. I don't mean conservative by ideology. I mean as far as their turnout projections. The Rosetta Stone was just like waiting to the 2024 exit polls. Well, you could come up with a Rogers plus with that, but that's not going to happen. Are you wearing my shirt, gorgeous? Don't lie live on podcasting. Okay.
Before
let's get
to the super chats. So on the House, if the VRA gets struck down by SCOTUS, which I think it will, I predict 219 and a half Democratic seats. If the VRA does not get struck down, I predict 233 and a half Democratic seats would be where I put the median line. And on the Senate, either way, because VRA doesn't impact the Senate, I predict 51 and a half Democratic seats. So at this moment, as of now, can things reverse? Yes, they can. And this will be the last. What are the odds of this year? We'll get into new ones after the new year comes back up. But that's where I have the predictions now. To two questions in the chat. One from Joe.
Is this Super Chats?
Yeah, Joe, who thinks we're motivated by some bad motivation. You seem like a real smart guy, Joe. Just DM me on X, and we can play some wagers. You seem like a smart guy. Let's play a few wagers, Joey. And we'll,
I
we'll
mean,
see. It turns out right.
look, this idea that like we're motivated by something, like, or I see a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, your Baris has been paid off." You just, first of all, you have no friends in my industry. You should think twice before hurling accusations at people like Mark Mitchell and I, who do this basically for charity at this point. Without us, you would not have the presidency, because polls obviously do matter. They're psyops for a reason. So, like, I mean, if you want to trash everyone who's ever done an honest job just because you're unwilling to acknowledge reality, I mean, just think how unwise that would be, because it's very easy for Mark and I to just decide we don't want to poll anymore.
Oh,
we don't rely. Everything we give publicly is at our expense.
Correct. Well, the other thing is we'll be monitoring is things like the consumer sentiment survey, the underlying economic data, and particularly as to these working class voters, younger voters, regional effects, and so forth. But also the Gallup Party identity affiliation, which, by the way, is D+7. So it gives you an idea exactly where Baris has, is where Gallup's party identification, which has been
remarkably predictive. Yes.
Now in multiple cycles since 2004. But to the other chat question before we go to the super chats, someone asked, they didn't think MTG, Trump going crazy on her, could be just about Epstein. Well, there are three other issues where she.
Oh, I didn't get into the other scenario. Sorry, you're right about that. That's fair.
The other three issues where she and Thomas Massey overlap is they're both strong COVID accountability people, which the president has failed to completely to deliver. He's still getting his 15th booster shot or whatever it is. The second is Israel. Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are the two most prominent Republican critics of being over-involved with Israel. Have received no money from AIPAC, have been targeted by AIPAC. The big donors spending all the money against Massey are all Israeli donors. Miriam Adelson no longer has any casinos in Vegas. All of her casino money comes from the Chinese Communist Party in Macau. That gives you an idea of who she is. She was born in Israel. People were pretending that, because she later became a U.S. citizen, she's not an Israeli citizen. She's still an Israeli citizen.
Give me a break. Who's her allegiance more to? Give me this bullshit. She's an American hero. Get the fuck out of here.
So one is COVID accountability. Two is Israel. Third is J6, and all the lawfare. So Massey took the lead on exposing a lot of things that happened with J6, was one of the big critics of what the DOJ and the FBI did, has been a longstanding critic of the surveillance state and everything related to it, champion of Ed Snowden, a champion of all that, of Julian Assange. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. So the three issues that align them are basically anti-deep state issues. As it relates to Israel, as it relates to lawfare, as it relates to the Epstein files, as it relates to COVID. So if you're looking for a common denominator, it's that the deep state is whispering into Trump's ear and directing who he endorses or attacks based on their priorities, not based on Trump voter priorities.
Yeah, I said, look, guys, and that's fair that they pointed that out. I did say that there was multiple versions to this story. Robert actually alluded to one before. The Trump side is that he wouldn't give her the endorsement for Senate. And I can tell you, guys, I mean, there's people around Trump, his orbit, his consulting orbit, who don't want MTG. MTG already has their own team.
Senate by 5+. Good job, everybody. But either way, Susie Wiles and Chris LaCivita will line their pockets.
This is the thing, like MTG, guys, use your brains. MTG already has a team. She doesn't need anyone's consultants to come on board. She's already got people that she's trusts and she runs with. All right. Now, anyone
same problem with the populist candidate in Iowa that has his own base of support, doesn't have big donors, but was not going to hire the Chris LaCivitas.
Yeah.
Paul Dance is not going to hire Chris LaCivita. So that is what all of this of Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles went out of their way to make sure Paul Dance didn't serve in this Trump administration so that they could control information and gatekeep who he endorsed because they want to line their pockets. It's about Susie Wiles helping the donor class and her lobbyist pals and helping her pal Chris LaCivita line his pockets in campaigns. That's why you're going to see dumb endorsement after dumb endorsement after dumb endorsement going forward.
There's no doubt, guys. I mean, I wouldn't tweet it. As of weeks ago, I got a call over that tweet. You know which one I'm talking about. I said, look, the only ones who wins here are the consultants. God, I can't imagine who that is. Like, there is a a pattern of behavior. Trump's endorsements are really bad. They're all run by the same people. Blake Masters couldn't get the endorsement until when, right? Even JD Vance himself, he'll never say it publicly, but give me a break, JD. You weren't getting the endorsement until you hired who, right? So this is how it goes. And that's not look, I get it. Everybody you get rewarded. Trump was going to win that election no matter who he had consulting him, as long as he had the message that he had going into 24, which Democrats handed him on a silver platter. He was going to win that message regardless. This idea there's some kind of like dream whiz team going on is crazy. Like, you ended up with Randy Fine because of this, guys. And this has been the case for a long time. All right. Trump's endorsement game has been bad. Let's go through the list of them. It's a whole other show, guys. It's a whole other show, but there is a common denominator to them all. And you have to start asking yourself, because Donald Trump will not be in office forever. What is he going to leave you with when he's gone? Are these going to be America First fighters who are going to look out for your interests? Or are they looking, or what is their real motivation here? Who do they really care about? Who are they going to serve? And that's it. That's, and by the way, again, when you're polling the general public, they are already asking this. That's why his endorsement doesn't get Lindsey Graham above 50%. That's why, and if my poll was fake and their poll, which they didn't release, was true, then why is Donald Trump in Florida to give the very first fundraiser that he's giving of the year for Lindsey Graham? He wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't needed. It's needed. So, that's the bottom line. That really has to be, but that was his version, is that he got a poll. It was done by his people, and that it showed that she was getting trounced for the primary. She said it really had nothing to do with that. This has been about Epstein, released messages. I can tell you guys, go look at the Politico article. I know Politico's left-wing fake news most of the time, but they're telling you the truth in that article. There's been a months-long campaign to pull people away from MTG over the Epstein files. It failed the night he sent that post, that's Truth Social. I even texted Robert because I got a message from somebody there saying full out war in the Situation Room. I texted Robert. I was like, uh-oh, something going on. Well, before you ever heard about it on Twitter, this is real, okay? And he lost. He was outmaneuvered, and then he blew up. So, like, maybe there is something else going on there, but it is 100% true that they have been at this for months, and they were doing things the same way that you see them doing things now to, like, even influencers on X. You don't threaten to hurt people who have supported you through everything. You don't, and that's the way the politics is played over there, guys. Like, they got everybody like standing around like shaking like little chihuahuas and shit. That's not a healthy environment. And lawmakers who feel that they will outlast you are not going to take that forever. You understand what I'm saying? They're not, guys. So, they watch like what he did to MTG. I think Robert was unwise for the simple fact that you planted a seed in the minds of a lot of people in Congress that support you. And now you have them thinking, damn, if he would do that to MTG, he'll do that to me. Now they're going to support. They're going to watch out for number one.
And then being really nasty in the way he went after Massey,
the wife thing. Yeah.
Donald Trump, you've never been loyal to a single girlfriend or wife you've ever had. Don't go around moralizing about other people, especially a widower who gets to remarry 18 months later. And quit listening to Laura Loser out there pitching her insane nonsense. So that was poor form. But yeah, let's turn to the
voted for. Oh no, there's Life of Brian. MTG was clear potting Trump to trashing her in a way that made Trump look bad. Trump is impulsive and easy to manipulate. So Brian, I was thinking the same thing.
She wasn't trying to do that. She was trying to convince him that joining the Epstein file release was in his interest.
I did until I saw the messages. I was thinking the same thing, that she's on this like CNN tour and she's doing all this shit, revamping herself. But then I realized reading those messages, she loved him and she really believed that this was in his best interest. And this is becoming a pattern now, guys. The people who really have supported Donald Trump, the people who have really been Donald Trump's friends, have been subjected to this level of browbeating and abuse simply for giving their opinion when it hasn't conflicted with the opinions of others that are relatively new to this game, or new to this movement. So for them to pretend like they know what's in the best interest of the movement is laughable, because they don't at all understand America first. Not even their own pollster understands America first. All right. So
Tony Fabrizio is too busy lobbying for foreign nations and foreign
bro,
interests.
oh my God. I can't, but I'm glad it's out though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how many people watching know, but that's a recent news report. And there's also like, look at the Randy Fine's a perfect excuse. I mean, this guy put out a poll a week before the election showing Randy Fine losing, even though Randy Fine was up. He was up. Jason polled it. I polled it from Qantas. I think Jason had something like Fine +7 or 10, somewhere in that neighborhood. I was like Fine +9 or something. And I only remember that off the top of my head because I was like Fine by 9 or something, So like, and they wound up winning by 11 in a Trump +32 district. So this guy is a loser who ran 20 points behind Donald Trump in one of the reddest districts in Florida. But why did Tony do that? So he could put out the email saying, oh my God, we're down. Give us more millions. Give us more millions. And that's why he did it, Robert. I mean, and he is, listen, everyone I talk to, because I don't really know Tony that way. Everyone I talk to that I've known him for a while, they're all like, oh, that's textbook Tony. Like as soon as they saw that poll,
he has
they
a
were like,
long reputation
long
of doing
reputation
fake polls. A long reputation of it.
Yeah.
And why would he do that? Because he lines his pockets with lobbyist cash and campaign cash. That's who he is. That's who he's always been. It's a joke that the president takes him seriously. That's why the president's sitting there telling
Greenwich Village, brother. Greenwich Village. That's who you're going to hire to tell you about MAGA.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Trump's in there telling Laura Ingraham, no, these other polls are all fake, because this is the nonsense that Tony is whispering in his ear.
I know of when the Wall Street Journal poll that showed, I think, Trump at like 42 or something like that. I know for a fact that it was just 48 hours before that he told the president, you're fine, Mr. President. You're cooking it like 56%. And then he goes to the Wall Street Journal and gives him that. And like a mutual friend called and was like, this is our problem. This is why we can't break through. And he was mad. And he was like, because fucking Tony just walks in there and feeds him bullshit what he wants to hear. And, and I look, I don't know what the answer is to get around that, guys, but like you have a conflict of interest if you're polling for a major media outlet and the president at the same time. And you have a major conflict of interest. I mean,
if you don't have a conflict of interest, you don't serve in the Trump administration at key positions politically. Just being honest about it. It's why it's going to get ugly if they don't turn things around fast.
This is a brutal comment, but this is what I got to tell you, I mean, it's like a huge part of my day is spent reading what we call elaborated responses, guys. So after the survey, the crux of the survey where we ask about issues, approval, all that, we'll say, hey, do us a favor and tell us a little bit more like in detail why you chose the answers you did. And oh, by the way, do you mind, release PII, which is personal identifiable information. And normally people don't want to give a whole bunch of answers. And they say, no, you can't release my personal identifiable information. I don't have this content to give to you because people are acting the way they normally acted during Trump. I have it because they're all saying yes. And let me tell you why. And it looks like this. I voted for Trump 3 times, texted and donated for him. What the tired of Pod Trump and Swampy Susie? Is it time for a third party? Populist only. As Jack P says, it's either MAGA or Marxism. So F Pod Trump. I mean, this is very common to what we're hearing. Look at what Mark Mitchell's putting up. I mean, he's fired off a lot of stuff. I mean, it's bad. It's bad out there right now. And you can't win
the
a
amazing
Senate
thing is,
control.
Instead of Republicans in the House listening to it, Republicans in the Senate listening to it, campaign consultants listening to it, the White House listening to it, the guy listening to all of this is Ro Khanna. Ro Khanna's getting it. Ro Khanna's citing you. He's citing you and Mark Mitchell on national TV. So Ro Khanna's
the press.
Yeah, tell me to his credit, Ro Khanna's paying attention. Why isn't anyone else on the Republican side paying attention other than Marjorie Taylor Greene or Thomas Massie.
He's not alone either. There's an entire faction of them. They're going to swing this party they're going to swing the entire party in this direction when it comes time to pivot for the nomination, guys. They are going to, and it's going to work. If you don't wake up now, it's going to work, and you're going to end up with President Jenny from the block. And you think that's a joke? It's not. Everyone laughed at Barack Obama too. Believe me, you go roll all the clips of Hannity laughing his ass off at the prospect of Barack Obama ever becoming president. They joked, they laughed about him. They laughed when he gave the keynote speech for John Kerry. And at that moment, I was like, oh shit, we're in trouble. Like, I remember it was like yesterday. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I mean, you just hear it. You know it when you hear it, unless you're just politically dumb and deaf and dense. And I don't even know what else. Like, thank you, Seaback Starlight. Oh, and is it time for a third party? I mean, my answer to that is no, Robert, because like you lose, period. You'll lose. I mean, eventually.
I think it depends. I think if Trump proves the incapacity of the Republican Party to reform, then I think but what you want is two things. There's third parties that move the needle, that radically reshape, that one of the other parties picks up the message and incorporates that third party message but then delivers. Or,
that's the problem with MAGA
what the
right
UK
now
would say is that maybe we're in an 1850s kind of moment.
Yeah.
Or an 1820s kind of moment, where all of a sudden
in the beginning.
third party comes in and replaces one of the others. And you look at what's happening in the UK. I mean, we've usually been just a few years behind the UK. The Labour Party is going to be gone, and the Tories are going to be gone.
Yeah.
They're not going to exist in 5 years.
Nigel's laugh. Gets the last laugh, bro. Nigel gets the last laugh. But you know what usually precedes those changes, guys? And this is the thing with that, John. Loss. So, like, what'll happen is that party will have a movement like Republicans have MAGA. They'll fail to deliver. The party will collapse. And then another party emerges from that, but you'll take a series of devastating defeats, before that happens.
Yeah, it'll be, but could I see that in 2032 or 2036? If Republicans don't shape up, absolutely.
Oh, by 36 and even 32. Oh yeah. But now I don't see it now, but like, it's inevitable. It's inevitable if they don't respond soon, Rob. It's inevitable. And by the way, someone like Elon Musk will make sure of that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there's a bunch of people. I mean, if they were successful at pushing Marjorie Taylor Greene and Massie out, you're going to have two people who already have a national base looking for those options. So I mean, it's they're creating it by their hubris.
This is your question right here. I don't think there is a way, but go ahead.
I mean, she is dominant. It's up to Trump. It's up to Trump to start listening to other people. And the only person that really has the platform to push back is Vance. That everyone else, they could get fired.
The problem is the problem is this is another reason why it's important to have voices like you and Mitchell and myself, because it's literally giving people like, I'm trying to be just nice here. It's literally giving Vance cover, because you can't be, you see the little guy in the background, like little people's funding behind me.
Yeah.
Little thumb. He lost his top front tooth too. It's hilarious. So now we're like, Laura and I are doing the all I want crickets. This is my two front teeth. Look at, get out of here, buddy. You want to say hello? Say hello. We're trying to say hi. Say hi. Say, you can speak up. Make your voice be heard. There you go. Say hi, everyone.
Hi.
Everyone.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. Now get out of here. Spotlight hugger. Yeah, I mean, it really, Trump can do, this is the thing, Kimmy. Trump's the man. He forgets sometimes. He's the man. He can do whatever he wants. Whatever he wants.
And the great potential with Trump is he can turn on a dime. That's always been his potential.
Yeah, ask MTG.
That could be the vice, but it also can be the virtue. Listen, but I think people like Vance and others got to start being more aggressive. Otherwise, Vance's own career is going to get torched by Trump's failure.
It is. And I will say this about, like, you don't go on CNN and apologize for being part of the toxic politics. Like what she did. I mean, I was watching and just seething. Like the media is.
That's what I mean. People that are upset with the thing is, that's what Trump is forcing. Trump is forcing people into that position. This is, the old saying is, You got somebody unhappy. You want them in the tent, pissing out, not out the tent, pissing in. And all he does is keep kicking him out of the tent so they can piss right back in.
Yeah, I think basically I know he's kind of like forcing that.
I think Wiles will be
there's
out.
a line. There's a
I think it would
line,
take
Robert.
a bloodbath in 2026 for Wiles to leave.
Yeah. We're getting there's some good ones. I said last night on Viva, and I'll say it again. Trump is King Theoden from Two Towers, and Lady Lindsay is Grima Wormtongue. Oh, shit.
Yeah. People created a meme with that, which is great. They have either Lindsey Graham doing it or Susie Wiles doing it. I think. And you seen that meme that's going around with her crazy eyes that she has looking at
I
Trump?
haven't.
Oh, it's great.
I think they're trying to like work on people around me because like folks, I have a very well known reputation. Like that shit doesn't work on me. It just doesn't. And like it will not only not work, but I'll tell everybody, like because I just don't play that game, so I can clearly see what it is going on here. They're like, I wonder if David will let me share something. I think he probably will. David, I know you're listening, bro. Can I share these things that they're sending out to you? And it's like everybody's trying. I know what they're doing. They're like, there's a lot of, and especially the Israel stuff. Don't tell me there's no pay for Israel thing going on. David keeps getting these. Okay, let me show. Hi, this is Matthew from Partners in Peace again. There's a lot of misinformation about Israel. Do you have a moment to share? And they're like polling, but they're also calling and trying to talk to David. And like, they're trying to calm him down and get him to like, not calm him down. They're trying to co-opt him into, whatever. Like, here, I got a $7,000 bonus with your name on it if you just stop telling the truth. Kimmy against it, Houston's in trouble. Kasich Republicans posing as MAGA against Sherrod Brown. Houston is a rhino wolf in sheep's clothing, and Ohio MAGA knows it. And Kimmy, they did this before, and he got his ass kicked. And you remember that, right? So,
especially against Brown, who plays well with Labor Democrats.
Yeah, who did it take to beat Brown, and what cycle did it take? Exactly. This was like you needed Donald Trump supporting Bernie. And by the way, that's where sometimes that ruthless politics comes in handy, because there was some really bad stories about Bernie. Nothing bad. Like I wouldn't care about it. Wouldn't stop me from voting for Bernie. But they put the word out, like, you share these stories, especially about certain family members. You share these stories and you're fucking done, right? So they scare people into not saying these things with Bernie. But it took all of that, and yet, really, let's face it, Bernie really won the way he did, because of Donald Trump. And so, without Trump on the ballot, Ohio's like a totally different state. And I just don't, And
now that old base is fracturing. That's, again, go back to pre-2016 map, and you see a very different map in these Senate races. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, the argument for JD Wade is if we get a bloodbath in 2026, and there's and Trump is just burning credibility with everybody like a cantankerous old man, JD is better stepping back, let Narco Marco or Tel Aviv Ted or DeSantis, let them go in and get crushed with a normie race.
Tel Aviv Ted.
And then come back in 2032 with a pure populist ticket against probably a failed Democratic president at that point. Yeah. And that's a better map. It's going to depend on what happens between now and then. But if that's what happens, that's the argument for Vance waiting a term before coming back. It was like Nixon probably, as it turned out, would have been better off waiting for 68. And it's why he skipped 64 after losing 60. He realized 64 wasn't going to happen. So he just sat out, was smart with how he worked the coalition, came back in 68 and won. It'd be the same logic here, that Vance come back in 2032, run and win in 2032, keep your ear to the ground on populist ideas, start expanding a populist platform, get some buy-in, and allow Democratic failure to be your ticket.
Let Rich show you how to walk around the hood all over the country, and we'll go talk to the hood together, JD. Like, I swear, I'll protect you. You won't get killed.
Do the kind of tour Robert Kennedy did. Robert Kennedy Sr. did in between 1966 and 1968.
Absolutely.
Where he went through Appalachia. He went through the Delta. He went to the urban ghetto. That, these are communities and constituency, and expand translate Trumpism into real policies, specific substantive policies that Trump
Which
never quite
RFK
did.
started to do, by the way. Like his brother was an idea, and he didn't have these ideas put into policy where he could explain to people, not in wonk talk, like Paul Ryan wonk talk, but in like, this is what we believe, which you know already, my brother, you know what we stand for, but here are the policies that I'm going to do to make your life better. The guy was running away with the nomination. He was definitely going to be the next president. They had to kill him to make sure that that didn't happen. I mean, that's so sad that we have this history in our country. And this is honestly, we're back in these days now where real dangerous people are at risk of being assassinated. You know, I mean, it's really unbelievable. We are living in this time. And by the way, I will also say what I was talking about this morning is that like it's really easy to look back in history and always say and always pass judgment on people and say, how did people sit around and support these atrocities? Well, you're watching a genocide right now, and you're not speaking up. There are Christians dying in Gaza too, Robert. I know. I get messages from them. Like all, you know, so this is sometimes, guys, I mean, you really have to look into yourself and see what you're going to do. What in 10 years are you going to be able to like live with yourself and how you behaved and, you know, after the fact? And a lot of people who opposed the Iraq war at the time, same thing, was very tough. You were look, I've lost thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. So has Mark Mitchell. You know, Robert, I saw your follow account, same thing, simply for telling the truth. But you know what? That's fine with me because I know what's going to happen already. And I don't need to be a prophet of God to know. Like, you just have to been doing this and have some basic talent in politics to know this is not going to end well. And I know that I will be able to rest my head on a pillow 10 years from now and say, I did everything I could. And they didn't listen. That's on them. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make jackasses drink. And that's where, you know, that as long as I know I tried, that's it. So, I mean, this is just to top this off with Ed, because I know this is one of those tweets that did go nuts and I got a bunch of shit from. And when you have the friends of the president, like, you know, I feel so bad for you. You're under such a hard, but I don't give a shit. It's like, don't feel bad for me. I know what I'm doing is right. You know, I could care less. What I meant by that, and this is the thing, Robert, they're so stupid, they didn't even know what I meant. They were like, oh, he's rooting for JD not to run. Yeah, I am. Because first of all, it's not just good for JD, maybe. This may not be the best thing only for JD. It may be the best thing for the idea of America first. Because, guys, you don't, apparently a lot of you just don't know how the Republican establishment operates. If JD goes out there and loses in 28 because of an environment that they created, they will say it's MAGA's fault. And then the movement's dead. The money will dry up. No donor will give to America First candidates. And in 2032, you're going to get like Narco Marco or Tel Aviv Ted. And that's going to be it. There will be no debate. You won't have anybody who can run and raise money. And that'll be it. So Peter Thiel and all the other people who are willing to, you know, or obviously very clearly willing to line up behind, you know, JD, it might be best to hold their collective resources if this continues. Now, again, it's 2 years from now. Actually, it's less than that. So things could change, Robert. But now,
it'll depend on what happens. And yeah, I mean, and if you're JD and you really want to run in 2028, then you got to start pushing Trump now to reverse course. Because that means you're going to have to risk some internal political capital to do it. And because if Trump stays on his current pace, there's no chance in 2026 or 2028. No. So he's got to, if he wants to run in 2028, he's going to have to be more than just go out and do press interviews encouraging a different course. He's got to start pushing Trump to push a different course and back up people like Tulsi Gabbard, like Robert Kennedy, like Gail Slater, like Harmeet Dillon, to really go aggressive on populist reform issues and platforms that they have. He's got to be very proactive. If he's not, he might as well skip 2028, look at 2032. Yeah.
And again, guys, you know, this won't be a small faction who try to steal the populist limelight. They will have a very organized pivot. Our individual well-being by way of group well-being. I think I understand what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, what is this? What you do? Oh my God. Did you see? Andrew did it in the locals chat. It's hilarious. It's a meme. You said, you see the memes with Susie hanging over people and shit? There's us right here on the show. And she's like creeping in on me behind me over your shoulder. It's so funny.
I mean, it's a perfect picture image, captures who and what she is and what she does.
I mean, this is, ultimately though, Robert, my problem, well, it's not even my problem. My thing is, ultimately, you still are the boss. And that's why
This is on Trump, no doubt.
Yeah.
Who made the choices to be donor centric and donor focused. And that's why he's in the trouble that he's in. But the people that have reform instincts got to push more aggressively and got to be more proactive rather than just go down with the ship.
Jerrier says the Senate has the potential to get very ugly. Michigan is gone for Rogers. Georgia is very uphill for Republicans to flip, and their only flip opportunity too. Ohio, Iowa, and Texas are all easily in play. Alaska and Nebraska could, given the candidates, as could Florida with a good Dem candidate. Yeah, I mean, Florida's probably going to have the highest resistance again because there is a regional difference with Hispanics there. But, I mean, you go look at Harry Enton's video. It's the first intelligent thing the guy ever said today. I mean, that swing with Hispanics is real. It's everywhere. It's in different subgroups, and it's a problem. I mean, it's a real problem. Kansas and Montana, unlikely flips, but could get close given trends in history. But hey, at least Lady Lindsay is being defended. That is true. Montana, look, test
working class independent voters and anti-war voters in places like Nebraska, Kansas, Montana, the prairie country. And if the Democrats ran a strong populist campaign and the Republicans ran an institutionalist, those are the kind of places where you could see a sudden surprise.
Ignore the retards online. Twitter isn't a real place, and they're paid to crap on your analysis and polls. Keep up the good work, B&B. B&B. I like that. Yeah, I mean, 100%. These people they're acting like Democrats. Democrats always accuse you of what they're doing, Robert. It's projection 101. There's a bunch of wannabe influencers because most of them don't even have the account size to be an influencer. But they're all accusing people like you and me and Mark and all, of being paid for. You can clearly see these guys are paid for shows. You know what I mean? Or they're just trying to suck the president's D for some reason. Bro, you're never going to get to meet them.
They're affiliated with this.
You can't afford the plate.
The other people that are really profiting from this, they're affiliated with the donor class, the lobbyists, or the consultant class.
Because they want the crack up. They're doing this on purpose. Yes, 100%.
They're running a lot of AstroTurf campaigns, sending money out to different places, trying to create doubts and skepticism about anybody giving honest information and intel. I'm not taking any money from any lobbyist group, any foreign nation, anything else. Unlike Dave Rubin, I haven't got paid millions of dollars from foreign nations. Some of us are on the up and up.
Yeah. The Chungster said that he's part-time at 1776, the law center. Interim advising Jim Carlin, who's the populist candidate Robert was talking about in Iowa. Jim Carlin,
good guy out of Iowa. That's the populist path. If they were to pursue it, they would be much more successful. But the problem is the institutional Republican Party is doing everything possible to suppress it.
Listen, I did talk to Jim, guys. I gave him what I, thought was look, they all lined up. That's going to be difficult. What he's saying is there a chance to do some kind of collaborative incumbent challenger group, And
we'll be supporting that wherever we can. Whether it's Paul Dan, challenge Callahan, supporting Nate Morris in Kentucky, supporting the populist candidate in Iowa, these other places. It's if those candidates succeed, then that'll be a different kind of momentum, and it'll be one of those factors that could change the equation as we get closer to the election. It's just if Trump stays in the same direction and the party stays in the same direction, given where the fundamentals are right now, it's a disaster. Does that mean it has to be a disaster? No, that's up to Trump and the party.
And it never had to be like this. For all the people who are saying we're making this environment, that's ridiculous. Your refusal to acknowledge and react accordingly made the environment to begin with, but then worsened it. Guys, you're giving me too much power. All right. Yeah. I don't have the power to change American public opinion with my 350,000 Twitter followers, which I've lost 20K or something the last couple of weeks. I don't have the power to do that. I am simply relaying Okay, what public opinion is. That's all. I wish I did. Oh my God, Robert, that would be amazing. I could save the country
Yeah,
tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But I
Exactly.
don't. Trimbox says, Trimbox says the Trump presidency is being reformed in the image of Susie Wilds. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Andrew's got some funny ass memes up in there. He's one of the look, Andrew and like another one who follows on locals, Owen, he's a big one. Like they are very indicative of the very angry MAGA male right now. And it's like they needed him to succeed. And it's like I don't think that especially the boomer older supporters, I don't think they understand how much these guys put on him. And maybe that's unfair, maybe it's not, but guess what? You promised them, like and the latitude that they would have gotten, Robert, or they would have given him is not infinite, but it's immense as long as they feel like he still cares about them. And that's the ultimate disconnect here. I mean, again, I'll get off here and I'll get on the phone with someone who was there today. And the messages already that I got is just unbelievable. Like it's hopeless. That's the message. It's hopeless. I can't even get through. And listen, the funny thing is we were glad because last week somebody more meek went and spoke in our stead. And it's like, I was sitting there like, yeah, it's all very good and everything, but that's not me. I'll tell it a very different story. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to say it in a very different way. And today, guys, it was conveyed, I have no doubt, in a way much closer to the way I would have conveyed it. And it didn't get through. So I don't know what else to tell, like I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Is Alex Brushewitz part of the problem? Alex is like your textbook, young, up-and-coming wannabe consultant. He wants to make a lot of money in the game. Alex seemed like he's all right guy, but I mean, he also is just attacking people who are supposed to be his friends left and right. For what? I mean, listen, the MAGA coalition isn't about unquestioned fealty. Like that's not going to hold the coalition together. And no amount of you can only, like Alex Jones said, you can only browbeat when you're the majority. And the sycophants are not the majority. And that's your biggest problem. So you're making the same mistake that Bibi Netanyahu is making right now. That's where what do you think, Robert? Jesus. Yeah.
Cover it? All right.
Yeah, I mean, that about covers it.
Sweet.
Anything else I miss, I'll hit up. I mean, it goes on and on forever. You know that, brother.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah, no doubt. So
tell people what you got going on.
Yeah, that's the predictions. We'll have more. We had a good bounce back from the election in that got the shutdown right as to how long it would last, got the Chilean elections right. They're calling that guy a far right guy. He's really a center right guy that's going to win the next Chilean presidential elections. As you see, Latin America follow this populist ping pong itself. Left populist, right populist, left populist, right populist, back and forth. We also got right the Epstein vote. That cashed across the board. Got some new picks up on the Federal Reserve. Got some new picks up on some. We're gonna have some of the Honduran elections up. All that at sportspicks.locals.com, and we'll see from there. I'm all for populism taking over. I'm glad Ro Khanna is out there advancing populism in the Democratic Party. We need more of it rather than less of it. We need more coalition and bridge building rather than burning bridges like the president's doing at the moment. And the message to the White House and the members of Congress and to the consultant class, if you want to win, there's a path there, but you can't ignore the warning signs. You can't spit on the base. You can't urinate on them and tell them it's raining. Gold. So those are the things that need to change, or things are going to be what they're going to be. And people can take that into account in their economic decisions, political decisions, campaign decisions, and the rest. And that's where we're at. That's the best intel and information I have and can give. But for all the future picks at sportspicks.locals.com.
All right, Robert. Thanks as always, my friend. I'll see you soon. Have a great Thanksgiving. Of course, I'll talk to him before you guys will. All right, I'm going to end it with a video, which I was trying to play earlier. It is what it is. And then we'll roll out the music. Don't forget, links are in the description to follow Robert and I. The best place, of course, is on Locals. And if you like the videos, don't forget to like them and share them far and wide. All right, guys. Thanks as always. I will see you guys tomorrow on Locals, and I'll see you on Wednesday for Inside the Numbers. All the best.
I've said this is about justice, this is about transparency, and yet I want to play something that you said earlier this week. Get your reaction on the other side.
I'm hopeful that we may get 40, 50 Republicans voting with the Democrats. The first time something like that has happened since Donald Trump walked down the escalator. Some people say this could be the first day of him being a lame duck, the day that bill passes.
If this is about justice, what does that have to do with making President Trump a lame duck president?
Well, it's because of what Trump has done. I mean, I wish that Donald Trump could prevent that by actually releasing the files. But if he goes down this lane where he is actually calling to unendorse people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, where he's threatening every Republican in MAGA, saying that if you support the Kana bill, you're not on my side, then he is sowing the seeds for his own lame duck presidency. He's out of touch with his own base. Don't ask me. Just look at Rasmussen, People's Pundit. All these people who were on his side are now saying, you know, Mr. President, what happened to you? You ran against a corrupt system. You ran for forgotten Americans. You become part of the swamp that you railed against. And again, my hope is that if he listens today, I know you interview him all the time, that he says, okay, I'm going to meet these survivors. I'm going to get behind Massey Kana's bill. I really think that's the right thing to do, and it's good for him politically.
Well,